Hello, everyone. We got another fun movie club night tonight. Really excited about this one. This is the fun thing about this whole YouTube thing that I never thought I'd get into, where you kind of run into other people and then you meet people through people and you get to have some fun conversations and then jump out and get to connect on different levels, talk about movies. And like I said, you never have to twist my arm too hard to talk about that. So that being said, I don't want to waste any time. I'm going to go ahead and bring out the guest for tonight, but we have the script doctor in here tonight. Nice. Hello.
Hello.
Greetings, or should I say so?
Yeah, yes, I'm lucky. Mr. Scott did not scramble my molecule.
There you go. There you go. So I love that. You have a way cooler intro than I do for my.
I actually whipped this one together because I was invited onto the Film Threats Funeral for a Franchise for Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
And I was invited like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I'll start writing a eulogy for that. But I wanted to do something extra for the thing. I'm like, oh, it'd be great if I could do a transporter effect.
Oh yeah.
And I talked to some of my editor friends, like, hey, can you whip me up a transporter effect? And they said, yeah, it'll take me about like 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, 'cause they always do it from scratch. They don't have a template.
Right.
So I found a buddy who did have a template and he sent it to me and I was able to whip that up. And I'm like, I'll just kind of play around with it here. Cause my images of like, it's a tracing of myself when I went for Halloween as Dr. Leonard McCoy.
There you go.
And so, I thought, hey, this would be a good avatar. And that's the theme I'm doing.
I love it. I love it. And the transporter, transporting in, I love it. Like I said, I'll have to think, I got to get a little more creative with some of my things, but I'm just kind of a bull in a china shop. I just run in and start talking to everybody. So,
well, that's a pretty good way to do an intro. Just find, you got the AI stuff now. Just have an AI version of you as a bull. Just
there you go.
Through a china shop and boom, it's Wilkie's movies and music.
Oh, well, okay. I'm going to have to mess around with that and see what I can come up with. That'd actually be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I know we were talking backstage for a little bit, but thank you very much for jumping on here tonight. It's always fun to meet new people out in this. And I know we were talking about getting to hang out on Box Office Brawlers live stream. I believe we were talking about Night of the Living Dead.
Classic film.
Absolutely. Great film to be able to rewatch again and get to hang out and talk with. But I know you do quite a few live streams, right? You kind of get out there and talking about things. But I was going to say, if you want to, like, just throw out there quick, I did throw a couple links out in the description of this channel. So if people are jumping in here and haven't come across a script doctor before, I believe I have the X link and then your Patreon link. And I'll have to see if there's anything else I can throw out there. If we talk through some things, I'll definitely add that. But do you want to do a quick high level flyover of who you are, where people can find you, what kind of things you're doing that people can come across and check out?
Sure. Well, I am the script doctor. I do story analysts, analyzing scripts and stories here on YouTube to gather whether or not they're functional or not, and how to improve them with typical writing techniques, this boilerplate stuff, but also I like to throw in some creative things as well. For the last 2 years, I host a show called Scripts on Saturdays. I'm on a little bit of a hiatus right now. We had a weird medical scare a couple weeks ago, but everything's all good. Everybody's fine. But now I've got to kind of reset my routines for that. So I'm hoping to try and get it done this coming Saturday. It might be the week after, just because it is the holiday season, and I have
Yep.
a wonderful collection of co-hosts that come by, and I always try to make sure it's balanced out so that everybody gets a shot. And then on top of that, that's also agreeable with their with their own availability and schedule. So that's a little bit of a tricky part there. But yeah, I do that on YouTube, and then occasionally I bounce onto various live streams whenever I'm invited. I if I'm free, I tend to try to show up. I haven't really said no to anyone's invite
Yeah.
because I like meeting new people.
Absolutely. I'm the same way, but I completely agree where it's difficult, just life in general and other things you got bopping around. It's hard to fit it in all the time.
It is, and in the last year, it's been a lot more busier than I expected. I got to work on about let's see, 4 Amazon shows and 2
Nice.
network shows this year. So that took up a lot of my time. So I haven't really been around the interwebs as much.
No, it sounds completely understandable. Yeah, and hopefully tonight you kind of dive into a few different things through your professional
Absolutely.
working life. Like things you're diving in there, but maybe even how before and after that has maybe influenced the way you watch movies, the way you take them in, how you enjoy them. I'm kind of curious when somebody has a profession that dives into that, if you have any noticeable changes of how you sit down and enjoy a movie on your own, or if it's all work. But so those are some things I was kind of interested to kind of dig into
Sure.
with you. But
Well, I mean, if you've ever seen, say, interviews or roundtables of magicians when they talk about the magic and
yeah,
trying not to ruin the tricks,
yeah,
it's just like that for filmmaking.
yeah.
When you see behind the veil, it is movie magic, and it's impressive because there's so many people that are absolutely fantastic at their jobs, and a lot of them have different degrees of creativity, but it's mostly like labor people. So you got like your IATSE members, which is your crew, your below the line staffers that put all these amazing things together just so that you can watch actors perform your work, and then directors kind of shape it and refine it and help build a narrative around your words, and then editing team putting it all together so that it can be something beautiful for people to enjoy. And that's the goal. Like, we're hoping that they enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you do that a number of times, you can then start seeing where they were putting an effort, where they weren't. You can see where certain powers were definitely restricting the creative output, and where others should have stepped in to maybe pull in the reins. And then on top of that, you also learn how much things cost versus what's actually put on the screen, and
Yeah.
you get really insulted because you just as an audience member should always be thinking like, hey, if they spent this much money on this, and it should be almost near perfect. And on top, because if I had that much money and I had to build something that wasn't a movie, just anything,
Right.
and I was given, say, $100 million to build a car
Yeah.
from scratch by hand, it should be perfect. It should be the most perfect car ever because you've got way more money than you need possible to make a car.
Yeah.
And so, and that's a mentality that you will find throughout almost everybody in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, even the producers are like, oh, we got $200 million to work on this movie. Great. It's going to be perfect because we got $200 million. We should be able to solve every single problem we have there. And then you learn, especially in the last 15 years, how so many other parties are taking money off the top. So you have less and less of that 200 million. So the price tag remains the same, but the actual money you have decreases rapidly.
Yeah, I could understand that completely. Off the top, and then, well, and you could have some hiccups or twists that you're not expecting in the whole process as well, too, right? That could,
Absolutely. Yeah, talent drops out, studios collapse, locations are lost,
yeah,
a whole slew of things, many of which that, oddly enough, is why I get called in to stuff.
Well, and we'll hopefully get to dive into that. There's so many fun things I want to jump into to talk to you about. And I know, like I warned you before, I'm a little all over the place. So hopefully it's not too much,
Sure.
but if we don't get to everything and, it works out again sometime, maybe have you on again. We can dig into some more things. But one thing I was going to do really quick, just being a live stream, there's some people jumping out in the chat, and I'll try to balance like jumping in and out, but I definitely want to spend as much time as I can with you talking for the time I have you for. But just going to say hi quick to a few people that are jumping into the chat. I was talking earlier about Box Office Brawler, where I met you on his
Yeah.
channel. Member for 2 months. Thank you very much. He says, this is cool. Glad you're having script. This is so cool. Glad you're here, script. You're the man. If I could read. There we go. And he's also saying, so Matt, I can't watch it live. And thank you very much for the $4.99 super chat. That's very, very generous of you. I appreciate it. It says, I feel like Script has an inspiring life story we should huddle around a campfire to listen to. So,
Oh, thanks.
yeah, I'll take that compliment. That's a good one. Sin's Corner is in here. Sin was saying we'll be popping in and out on this one as I've got a video to record, and I'll try to listen in as much as I can. I appreciate it very much. Got Movie Hunter in here saying evening, everyone. Got Jeff in here, John Doe Juggalo saying good evening. We got Jimmy, the Scottish geek guy, in here saying howdy, folks. Do want to make sure I at least say hi to everybody that jumps in. I always love. It's always a challenge to juggle this whole stuff, but I love people like Tiana here, another channel member coming in saying hi. Mr. Holland Oates saying Corey, thank you. I appreciate Adrian James in here saying hello there.
Hello.
Let me see here. If I skip over anybody's comment, it's not on purpose, just trying to go through and at least say hi to everybody that jumped in here. Sin was saying that Star Trek funeral lasted forever. LOL.
It is one of the longer ones I've been to, but I mean, going back to a little bit part of my life as Brawler asked about, I have been to way too many funerals for a person of my age.
Oh, okay. Okay.
To a point where when I was 12 years old, my dad was remarking, "Man, this kid has been to more funerals than he's been around alive." And it's still been to that point where he always got really depressed and sad because I had a big family, but we knew lots of people,
Right.
and they were across lots of different ages. So some died of natural causes, others of horrible diseases, and others in tragic accidents. And yeah, I'll put it to you this way: our family knew the mortuary pretty well, and even my cousin got to work for a cremation company.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, we've gone through that a lot. So it's it's a weird part, but just goes to show you that it's you meet a lot of interesting people. You get to be a participant in their lives for as long as you can, and then you see all the ways they've impacted all the other people around them when they pass, and it's a beautiful thing to see what the level of impact that they had while they were here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a blessing. Yeah, I always say that too, where, when you go to some of those and it brings people back together again. And I whether that sounds weird or not, but you come back to, pay your respects, but celebrate their life. But then, some of these people that it's kind of a gathering again, where you can get to come back together and remember those good times, the way that they've shared in your life and you and theirs, and how maybe you met some of those people through them, so absolutely. We got Sean in here, Cinephile World Order, saying good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'll try to jump through here just really quick. We got Doom in here, Doom Boogie, saying Wilkie. Good to see ya. We got one of my good friends that eventually at some point in the night, I usually have to proofread his comments, but he likes to have fun with me. Video Man Gizmo was saying, I heard Script Doctor before on Film Threads channel, I believe. Asked him if Hollywood is burning. By the way, Corey, how is Gunda? I have not watched Gunda yet. Sorry, Gizmo. You can continue to be disappointed with me, but so Is that a tough question if you get something like that from somebody on a live stream? Is Hollywood burning?
No, California burns quite
Yeah.
frequently. Hollywood's always ever changing. What's very fascinating is in the last 5 years, really, um, Hollywood, the industry is really just a point of contact. Everything is made outside of California.
Yeah.
When I started there around 2005, 2006, there was tons of stuff being made in California. That's why you went. Like everybody, you go to California because that's where everything's being made.
Right.
And I guess since Schwarzenegger was no longer governor, that
Yeah.
state kind of went backwards, so to speak. Got way more expensive. As a result, people wanted to go somewhere else. It would be cheaper to make the movie. And of course, it's every second during a production has a dollar value. So you want to make sure it's as low as possible so that you can get the best product at the end of the day. And by product, we're not talking about the overall product of the film. We're talking about the product of the day, like how much efficiency, how much are you getting out of your day, so that when you can put it all together, it becomes ideally a work of art. And as the years went on, things got more expensive to make in California, and people started not working in California. And as a result, businesses started to falter.
Mm-hmm.
People started to move away. And instead of it being an industry town in the arts, it became just a place to live because the weather is pretty much nice all year round.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, it wasn't something that I had to worry too much about because I would spend maybe 4 or 5 months in the United States, and then the rest of the year I'd be back home in Canada, and I'd just be bouncing back and forth for a while, which is one of the things that I and even some of my colleagues attribute to my sanity, because I'm not around California all the time where it's driving me nuts to the point where I start acting crazy or not who I am. And when I go back to Canada, I live in some very rural parts of the country.
Okay.
So it's a lot of it's a very simple life out there. There's not a lot of drama or complications. So I get to interact with normal people who have normal problems and have normal events going on in their lives. And it's really helps me keep in touch with, the general audience of sorts, the types of people I like to entertain.
I can understand it completely. I live in a pretty rural area too, a smaller market area, you would say, but I'm in Iowa. So I'm like kind of
Love
smack
that
dab. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There you go. So yeah, kind of smack dab kind of in the middle there. So, but yeah,
a landlocked state, but that's okay.
yeah, pretty much. We got the Mississippi on the east side, but yeah, then we have fun stuff like we had a nice big snowstorm blizzard thing blow through yesterday. So we're the land of extremes, I would say. We get very, very cold and very, very hot and humid. So you kind of get to experience it all.
That's what we also call Canada. So we
have, there you go.
Very severe winters, and alarmingly enough, our summers can get incredibly hot to the point where we've had visitors from Mexico and Texas say this is too hot.
Yep. No, we had that before too. We had some friends that came up from southern Texas this last summer when we were having a very hot spell, and they were like, "We thought we were getting away from the heat, and we came here, and then they're like, we're ready to go back home." So.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to run through just a couple more really quick. Sin was saying you're doing a great job, Corey. Thank you very much, Sin. I appreciate that. I'll take any support like that as I can get. Gizmo already put down one of your chats that I got to proofread. So we'll skip that one for now, Gizmo. Haha. But maybe on the side, we'll talk about that one. We got Mega Spidey Man. What's going on? Saying hello there. Good to see you. Good to see you. And it was asking if you've been on, I know Open Bar, but B-Sup. I'm blanking on that one.
No, I've not been on B-Sup or Open Bar.
Okay. B-Sup, I'm blanking on that one. I'm not sure on that one.
So. I don't know. I've never heard of that one. So sorry. Yeah. But hey, if they ever send me a message, I'll be happy to participate.
Like you said, if it works in your schedule, you won't say no, right?
That's right.
All right. I think I've hit everybody that's jumped in here for tonight. I'm going to tag this. I'll try to jump back and forth in chat because that's why I like to do the live streams, but I want to respect the time I got here with the script doctor. But kind of jumping in, I know we kind of went all around there, kind of did a lot of, talked a lot about a lot of things there for a second, but do you remember, did you get hooked into movies pretty early? And do you remember any time that you were like before you got into screenwriting or anything like that, like something that hooked you that got you fascinated with the movies?
Oh, that's been a big part of my family.
Mm,
Even though my not many members of my family ever worked in entertainment, they were doctors, farmers, steel workers, a lot of
right.
laborers, and I grew up doing a bunch of that stuff as well. Um, since, gosh, I guess since I was brought home from the hospital, there's always been a movie playing in my home.
Okay.
We also had a family tradition. So in Ontario, Canada, there is a network, a public network called TV Ontario,
Okay.
and every Saturday night they'd have a special called Saturday Night at the Movies, and they would show classic films, and they would break them up into usually like three sections, sometimes two, but I remember three sections where. After the first section, you get an interview with the host, who is then interviewing some person who was involved in the production, be it the director, the writer, or one of the lead actors, and you get a little behind the scenes of the production. But the brilliance of that interview is it was structured in a way where whatever questions he was asking only pertained to what you had just saw
Okay.
or what you've just seen. And so you get really more engaged because you get little clips and snippets of, oh, I remember that little quick exchange in the first act between that character and this character. So, for instance, there's Rear Window, right? So you got Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly, and
Right.
you have
Right.
their little back and forth banters. And then then you get to watch the second act. Then after the second act, you get that. Then you get the third act, the climax, and then at the end, you get like kind of a nice little 20 minutes follow up with the interview. And it was this really fascinating thing, and I loved it. My folks, like, I never really had a bedtime growing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my parents are not hippies or anything of that nature. They one of the things that my grandmother and my aunts and uncles used to remark often is that my parents never spoke to me in baby talk.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
they just
Yeah.
talked to me like as if I were an adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that did not help in school because some teachers thought I was far more intelligent than I actually was, just because I had an adult vocabulary as like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh yeah, he should go a couple grades ahead." It's like my dad's like, "No, you don't understand. Like, he does not know anything."
Yeah.
And I was very grateful that they did not try to push me ahead
Yeah.
on that. But yeah, that's kind of where I loved watching movies. Some of my earliest movies that I remember seeing was like Vertigo.
Mm.
I was probably maybe 2. I saw Vertigo. I saw Star Trek, the original Star Trek with William Shatner, DeForest
Yeah.
Kelley, Leonard Nimoy, that show. And then my mind just exploded because after I'd watched an episode of that, the brand new Star Trek: The Next Generation had just premiered.
Oh, nice.
So I
Yeah.
got to see 2 Star Treks and as like a toddler, I was absolutely shocked by that. I didn't get to appreciate the show until a couple of years later, where I could understood the rest of what they're talking about.
Oh, sure.
When
Sure.
you're just out of diapers and you're sitting down watching Star Trek, you're like, okay, bright colors, some phaser sounds, some cool monsters, a lot of talking about stuff that I don't quite grasp.
Right. Right. Well, but
yeah.
I always find that interesting though too. Even when you get older, you can watch a movie and then after some life experiences, go back, watch it again, and get something completely different out of it, or it hits you in a completely different way just from your experiences. So even like that, like watching it at a younger age, you could have been hooked. Like, wow, this looks cool, and this, the things that are going on, it's fun. I want to keep on watching this, but you can go back and revisit it and pull some different undertones or things that are going on.
I've noticed that usually comes in 2 or 3 stages. And one of the best examples I like to bring up for that is William Dozier's Batman series from '66 with Adam West and Burt Ward.
Yeah.
So as a kid, when you watch that, you enjoy it immensely because it's Batman, it's action, it's mystery.
Yeah.
As a teenager, you kind of get a bit more of a broader scope of like what humor is and satire and things. And so you take a look at Batman, you think, oh, that's camp, which is a misnomer because it's been described as camp by journalists, and journalists, if you've ever met many of them, and there are exceptions to the rule, but many of them actually have a terrible vocabulary.
Yeah.
And But as you get older, you realize, no, this is just brilliant comedy played
Mm.
so straight
Yeah.
that I mean, I appreciate it immensely because Batman is literally, as that show, it is making fun of the logistics and bureaucracy of government,
Oh yeah.
and it's hitting it from every political spectrum.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Like you've got the chief of commissioner, Commissioner Gordon, who he's a very well informed man, but he has no clue how to handle a supervillain. And then you've got Chief O'Hara, who is also really well informed, but he doesn't have the faculties to solve mysteries. Like because they all know what's going on in the city. Like they've got their fingers on the pulse. It's just they have no idea how to solve someone like Egghead or the Joker or King Tut
Yeah.
because they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I read in the paper yesterday that there's this big Egyptian mute thing going on, so King Tut must be going after that." It's like, and everybody's like, "Yeah, I remember, I know that," but they'll never have a plan of like, "Well, how do we stop King Tut?" I don't know. I'll send all my police officers there. No, don't do that. Just send Batman.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. So, like, so you're digging into all that. You got these shows that are digging into some of the scenes. They're talking about some of the things. Did you ever feel like you got to a point where you're like, okay, then you're watching it, you see a scene, and you'd maybe want to like, I'm gonna go back through that and how did they create that? How do they bring it together? Like, I'm kind of curious. Then leading into, sorry, this maybe is a two-part thing,
Sure.
but like where you started turning to this the story and the structure of that. If you at some point, like what caught you to want to dig into the screenwriting, thing.
It came midway of high school.
Okay,
Um, I took way more credits than I needed to because I didn't have exactly a specific focus of what I wanted to do after high school.
sure.
Um, I I would argue a lot, so some people said I should be a lawyer.
Yeah.
I had family that wanted me to get into medicine. When I was in and where I was in Canada in Ontario, we had 4 years of high school, and we had what was once called the Ontario Academic Credentials, which gave you an extra head of education reference to get into like a university, so you can skip like a junior college or something to just go straight to the Ivy Leagues if you wanted to. They got rid of that shortly after I graduated, but so my junior year, I'm doing like pre-applications,
Okay.
and I get a preliminary acceptance for pre-med at a very prestigious medical university.
Okay.
I won't say the name because it'll kind of give me away.
That's
And I
fine.
had to do an interview with the dean of admissions, and basically my because I loved reading science fiction, I loved reading mysteries, I liked watching those types of shows and things. I had a very particular understanding and also approach when it came to like solving problems. And one of the things that the dean of admissions asked me is like, well, if you were to become a doctor, what field of medicine would you get into? And I said I would get into virology, because I wanted to study viruses. I wanted to see if there's a way where we could help improve the immune system through natural means, like proper medicines and drug combination.
No, it's interesting. And
Like teach the body to really attack the virus specifically and in a quick and effective manner, and so as not to just be basically pharmaceuticals that suppress symptoms and let the body kind of just do its own course. Give something to like train the body like Mickey trained Rocky type of thing. I always drop in movie references.
oh,
The dean of admissions laughed at me and he said, "That's preposterous. You can never, you can't do that. You can't try to circumvent pharmaceuticals, and also to call pharmaceutical drug treatments and stuff just symptom suppressants is incredibly insulting." It's like, well, that's literally what they are. Like,
Yeah.
they don't actually do anything for you. Their whole idea is that it allows you as a human being to be a bit more aware and more conscious and a lot less suffering, so that your body can do what it's designed to do, which is fight off the virus. And if your mental state is struggling in addition to your physical state, you have a less likelihood of healing or recovering. And I learned that from a Canadian woman. Wasn't alive when I was alive, but her name was Elizabeth McMaster, and she started the hospital for sick children in Canada in 1875.
Okay.
It was a free hospital for children. It still exists to this day. It's 150 years old.
Nice.
And it's basically, if you're a sick kid, you go there and for free, you get treated for your illness. And the reason they did this is because child mortality was really high. Um, there's mentality in Canada where we're happy to be paid for providing medicine and healthcare, but we're not doing it for profit. We're doing it just to make everybody else feel healthier. And she and her nurses and the volunteers at her hospital realized that the better bedside manner you have, the more likely and the better the child is feeling emotionally and in an environment around them, the more likelihood they're going to survive whatever ailment is plaguing them.
Sure.
And after generations later and more medicines are discovered and stuff, and you realize, yep, these are all like symptom suppressors. It's really just emboldening that discovery, which is, yeah, if you're in a better spirits and you don't feel like you're suffering as much, you are more likely to survive whatever is ailing you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we ended up getting an argument with the dean. I ended up getting an argument with the dean of admissions. And then a relative of mine who got me the preliminary called me and my family and said that you might want to consider going into another field of education because you're not getting in there.
Well, we've all had some fun moments.
And it was my long-term girlfriend at the time, who I'd been with since I was 12 years old. We started dating when I was 12, and we parted ways in my early 20s just because life took us literally opposite sides of the planet.
Sure.
And it was an amicable thing. We still talk, but yeah, she said, you love telling stories, you like creative writing, and you always have very interesting ways that you solve problems. Why don't you just go into like English literature and history and do that? And then I looked at what those degrees would get me, and it's like, well, you could pretty much get a job almost anywhere anyways.
Sure.
You got a history and English lit degree. It's like, yeah, you can work in offices, proofreading memos and doing like, you could work in a law office and double check, legal contracts. You don't have to worry about the legalese or forming it. You just to make sure that it's all above board, all those types of things. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure. I can get into that. And I did. I applied to that one. I was not like the greatest high school student because I would always get into arguments with my teachers. Except for one teacher who I really liked. She was only a few years older than me. So she was 20 when she was a teacher in high school.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So she was really young.
Yeah.
But her entire method was like, I'm not here to brainwash you. I'm here to try and make you guys like ask questions. And she's the only one I could never argue with because she never said anything so stupid that would make me go, what the heck is that?
Well, or when you have an instructor like that it encourages you to question them, like they want to have that discussion with you, and that I find that encouraging too, when they're like saying whether we end up agreeing or not agreeing, question me, don't just take what I'm saying, like question it and give me why you're questioning it, and not in a bad way, but just let's have a conversation about this.
That was pretty much it. I mean, she would open up because she taught English, history, and French. And I couldn't take French because one of the reasons was when when I started high school, myself and my girlfriend at the time, we thought we were going to different high schools.
Oh, okay.
And so we had our last kind of like big party celebration at the end of the summer. And then we were like, yeah, so, email hadn't existed yet. It was still very, very new. So it's like, maybe we'll see each other around. Maybe our schools will be, playing at sports games, making a hangout then. And then, we go our separate ways. And then I go to my first day of school. It's a big school. And then I meet this really beautiful young lady who I think is like a year older than me. She's wearing a cheerleader outfit. She welcomes me. She introduces me. Gives me a hug. And then about 25 minutes later, I'm in my homeroom class, which is French class. And that girl comes in, but she's dressed a little bit not with a cheerleader outfit anymore. Instead of taking a seat with the rest of us, she takes a seat at the front and introduces herself as the teacher. And I realized, I might be on the news, so I'm not going to take French anymore.
Okay.
So I toughed it out for that semester. But what was funny is that at lunch, I see my what I thought would be my ex-girlfriend in the cafeteria, and she sees me, and we like kind of just jump towards each other. It's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, this is the school I go to. Like, I thought you were going to the other one. No, I thought you were, it was just a big confusion. And then we just like, okay, well, I don't want to not be with you. So we just picked up where we left off, and we were there all through high school, and we were together all through college, and it was like amazing. Um, but,
Nice.
but yeah, so when the year later, when I was taking English with that teacher, she'd open every lesson with a question and a premise, and she would get a lot of people into discussion, and then she would force us to write about a 5,000-page essay on it, which really kind of made you have to really think.
Oh, sure.
And if you found yourself like padding out the essay, she would like mark it up in red and be like, give me an idea, don't give me jargon.
Yeah. Yeah, think about it. Don't yeah,
Yeah,
don't.
and so I really appreciate that. And it was her class and a computer programming class and a problem solving class that I did the best in, and all the other classes I did, average, like B plus or
Yeah.
so. And
It's still pretty good for my high school time anyway, but
well, what was funny is that our principal was very involved with the student body.
yeah.
Like he knew everybody's name, he knew all their parents, he knew their siblings. He really, and he's not from Canada. He was an immigrant from the United Kingdom, so he had his very received pronunciation British accent.
Okay.
And my third year there, right before I started doing some preliminary interviews for colleges, he brought me into his office, and part of me is thinking like maybe I'm in trouble because I'm of that age where hormones are running pretty rampant. My girlfriend and I are cutting pretty close to the edge of inappropriate public displays of affection. So I figured maybe I got caught.
Yeah.
And he sits down and he's talking to me about classes. He says, why are these 3 classes that you take with each like advanced level, the only ones who are doing well and all the other ones are not good? It's like, well, I get into verbal arguments with the teachers.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And he's like, over what? And I would, share some stories. So for instance, like I saw the earlier precursors of Common Core math, which I said is moronic. And this was not something in the curriculum. So the principal didn't know that the teacher was doing that.
Yeah.
And then that caused a big kerfuffle because then all of a sudden my next math class, our principal is sitting in class with the rest of the students as the teacher's teaching this early stage of Common Core. And then the principal says, what is this? This isn't in the syllabus. What are you doing here? He's like, oh, it's a new way of solving problems. Like, really? Is it approved by the Board of Education? Because I don't remember. And it just it was quite comical.
Went interesting.
But yeah, then even towards like the end of that year, where I'm going into my 4th year, and you do all your major applications for colleges and stuff. Yeah, he kept on saying like, you should be getting into like the creative field. Like, you've got great imagination. Your teachers keep on mentioning how the peculiar way you're able to solve a problem. Like you don't come up with a normal solution. You come up with a solution that ends up being better than what they expected. And I'm like, oh yeah, great. Nice. Stroke my ego. I love that. Yeah. And so yeah, I met with him, my girlfriend at the time. My mom was really excited that I was getting into the creative field because not many creative people in our family. So she wanted to be like, oh, I want you to go all the parties and invite me. And it's like, no, you're embarrassing. And so, yeah, I did that. I did college. And then after college, I got an internship at Paramount Studios.
Nice.
Which was like a dream come true because I had written a spec script for a Star Trek series.
Okay.
Because during the internship application, you had the general internship and you had one that put you on a path to getting into a writer's room for one of the shows that they produced.
Oh, nice.
And they wanted you to write for a show that you liked, which was like unheard of because all through college, through the people that I was learning in the industry, it's like never reveal that you're a fan of a show because they don't think that you'll be able to do it well. And at first I thought this was a trick question when, you're doing the Paramount application. It's like, yeah, send us a spec script of one of our shows. Or it could be an original show of one of our franchises. So like they had Mission Impossible, they had Star Trek. I wrote a Star Trek one. The reason I wrote a Star Trek one is one, I love Star Trek. And number 2, during my initial interview for the position, the person who I was talking on the phone with, because again, internet still new,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
mentioned that they were really interested in trying to do a prequel series to the Kirk era of Star Trek.
Okay.
And so I wrote a pilot based off of a brand new narrative style that had been circulating around, where you'd have 5 acts to your pilot, 1 hour pilot, and each act would be focused on one of the main ensemble characters.
Okay.
And the show that debuted with that formula was Heroes,
Okay.
and that debuted a couple years later.
Okay.
And that's what I did. So I had the first act I had was Montgomery Scott. The second act was Hikaru Sulu at the Academy. The third act was Kirk, and then the fourth act was Spock, and then the final act was Leonard McCoy. And it ended with all of them meeting together. And this was it was a political kind of back and forth where a rogue house of Klingons had declared war on Starfleet, and they were trying to rally the other houses to join them to restart the Klingon War.
Okay.
And it was not very action packed at all. I had a couple of like a chase scene, which is not much of a chase scene when you're dealing with starships. It didn't have the Enterprise; it had the Republic, because that was the ship that Kirk served on at the time.
Okay.
And yeah, I sent that in, and it was a horrible script by today's standards. But I sent that in, and then months go by, and then I get a letter. And the creepiest thing about Paramount at the time, because you had to sign the letters that they sent you, and they did that so that they knew exactly when you got it, so that they could call you up and be like, "Hey, we know you got this letter. I hope you read it. We're going to be flying you out to LA. We're going to put you up in this hotel that we put up by everybody else's hotel. I can't remember the name because I was only in there one time."
Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to start. We're offering you a 6-month internship, and it's going to put you on a path to get onto a show or production.
Nice.
And I was ecstatic. And then I also realized, oh, I don't have that much money.
Yeah.
And LA is expensive.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, my college, when they heard I got the internship, they decided to hire me as a interim professor for screenwriting for 1 semester, because the main teacher of that the original professor got cast on the Flash Gordon television series for the next year. So they were doing all this prep. So he got to fly out to British Columbia about 8 months before the show would ever premiere.
Okay.
Start doing the prep. And he had recommended me to do the course in his absence.
Nice.
So that paid for my going out to California.
Nice.
And then, so I get there, and it's fantastic. I'm seeing all these new productions. They have these display for there's this display for The Phantom, which was the Billy Zane movie that they did in the 90s, which I loved.
Yeah.
Marvel Studios was setting up shop, not there, but they're setting up shop at a car dealership or something. But some of the reps would keep on coming by to the Paramount offices because they're trying to figure out, well, what are we going to start the franchise with? Because they were planning on a franchise. And when I heard of this, I'm like, oh my God, that's ballsy.
Yeah.
Don't we want to just do 1? They're like, no, we're going to do 4. We just don't know which 4.
Right.
And I've told the story before, but they had a whiteboard in the common room area. And on the whiteboard was all the Marvel characters that they had the rights to. And they asked all the interns and all the people, like, put a check mark beside the ones you want to see. And the funny part was that people put more than 1 check mark behind every single character. So everybody would put a check mark beside every character that they wanted to see. So you go into the common room the next day, and there'd be 24 check marks beside every single Marvel character they had the rights to. Everybody wanted to see every character.
Oh, sure.
And so they came back later and like, pick 3. You can only do 3
we got to narrow it down a little bit.
and then that's when it ended up becoming, we saw Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Ant-Man, and can't remember who the other one was. Gosh, that's gonna bug me for a while. But those were the 4 that I remember seeing, and it was pretty exciting. And I'm learning, the intricacies of the studio. I'm primarily like just a gopher. I'm going for this, going for that. So grabbing coffee orders, food orders, that stuff. But every once in a while, like, someone will ask my opinion on something, and then either laugh or say, "Hey, that's a good idea."
Right.
And after a few weeks, I'm asking around. It's like, hey, so where's the Star Trek stuff going on? Because Enterprise had just wrapped its fourth
Right.
season, and and they well they had wrapped initially filming the I think it would be the third or fourth to last episode,
Okay.
and they'd already been told they were canceled. No one else in my department had been told that.
Right. Okay.
uh, and I was asking about that, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, we haven't heard anything about Star Trek for a while here." And after a couple of days, you start hearing stories about like Les Moonves thought it was too expensive a show. The ratings were getting better, but not what they wanted.
Right.
And then there's other rumblings of Paramount splitting up between CBS and Paramount, so Viacom would be splitting up, and it was really kind of weird. And what ended up happening is, yeah, Paramount split up from CBS, and the entire internship program that I was in was dissolved.
Okay.
Didn't have internships anymore.
Okay. Okay.
Which is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I still had my rent in LA paid for the rest of the summer, so I had nothing. I didn't have to worry about that. That was already covered. But now I had to like find a gig.
Yeah.
So everybody that survived from the split was helping me out, introducing me and all the other interns like to tons of people, because we were all told a few days before the split, oh yeah, you're going to be put onto this production. You're going to be putting on this production. This is how much you're going to get. I think it was like $2,500 a week. Like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like bonus.
And because they were all really pleased with us. And then, yeah, it all just vanished, went away. And some of the people who I admired there, they were out of a job for a couple of months. And then I remember one person in particular, as soon as I flew back to Canada, he called me up and he's like, hey, I want you to come shadow me on this show I'm doing. I'm part of I'm the executive producer. I'm one of three, and then part of the writing staff, but I want you guys to meet. I want you to meet these people.
Right.
And so, yeah, I got to fly out again and hang out and work on a pilot.
Nice.
And it's the first pilot I got to work on, and just kept on networking that way. And what was funny is, the one actor was having difficulty with a monologue that they were to do.
Okay.
And the showrunner, instead of just rewriting the monologue, was just telling him like, this is how you say the words. And the actors could not do it. And I don't really know who this actor is. He did not make it in the industry, but he was a good looking guy, and you could tell why he got cast, because he's good looking.
Yeah.
But he did not know how to say the words. And I'm looking at the side, and it's a complex monologue. And, I just, I pull out my thesaurus, because I had a pocket thesaurus at the time. I looked at it and I was like, okay, I'll translate what it is in real English. And I'm looking at this more. I'm like, oh, I can write this in a bit more better way.
Yeah.
And so I wrote my notes, and then I gave it to my friend who brought me out there, and he read over. He's like, oh, this is actually really clever. And he takes it to the showrunner. The showrunner looks it over. He's like, okay, we'll give this one a try. Gives it to the actor. The actor takes 2 to 5 minutes or so reading it over. They roll cameras. He nails it.
Nice.
And that kind of got me started on like script doctoring, kind of like last minute stuff. And then later it evolved to other things, being on other shows and other projects. But at the same time, I was writing my own movies, my own pilots.
Nice.
I got a terrible agent, and then I got a terrible manager for a number of years. Then I left them, and then I got different terrible agents and managers. And I kind of went through this cycle where I'd be bouncing back and forth. But I was in LA, and then my girlfriend at the time, she was in her last year of college, and she got an internship in the Netherlands.
Oh, yeah, a little ways away.
So when I'm in LA and she's in the Netherlands, we are literally on other sides of the planet.
Pretty much, yeah.
About 16 hours apart at the quickest.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tough at first. But whatever, instead of going back to Canada, I'd go back to Canada. I'd be there for a couple of days, then I'd fly out to her place in the Netherlands, and I'd be there until I got called to go to somewhere else.
Sure.
And for a while, this was fine until she decided to join me on one of my flights to LA, and it was 6 planes. And it's normal at the time.
Yeah.
And she got really concerned. She's like, you cannot be putting your body through this.
Yeah.
and so she's like, I'm going to leave my internship. I'm going to see if I can get something out in LA. And it's like, no, this is a huge opportunity for you. Because it literally led to, like, just like with my internship, it would have led to a career for her. It did lead to a career. She ended up getting hired right out of university, which was fantastic. It was a really well paying job, but she's living in the Netherlands.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we that was like our first real argument. It's like she was just complaining to me. It's like, you cannot be taking, you know,
I
several
mean,
plane trips just to go to LA and then several plane trips just to come back, and doing that multiple times, at least 3 times a month
yeah. Yeah.
on it. It's like, but I sleep most of the time. She's like, it's not good. So I'm at a party. I'm at a business party of hers in the Netherlands, and her boss comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, man, we're really sorry to see that she's going to be leaving us." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, she put in a month's notice. She wants to go back to North America." And then that's when we got into another fight
Oh, yeah.
because she was going to quit her job to come with me to LA. I told her, like, you'd resent me for doing that. And then she's like, you'd resent me if I asked you to stay here. It's like, well, you never have. And she's like, I want you to. It's like, okay, I will. Cause internet was starting to pick up. I could start working remotely.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, well, I knew I could start working remotely. People in LA really wanted me physically there.
Sure. Sure.
And then that's where we basically said, okay, like, if we can't make this work in a long distance, where I'm bouncing back and forth, I'll be in LA for a couple months. Then I'll come back here for 4 or 5 months and back in LA. She's like, no, I don't want to do that. I either want to come with you to LA or have you stay here.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, let's just try and make it work. And eventually it just did not work.
Right.
Which was pretty heartbreaking, but I wrote some really great
Sure.
scripts, romantic comedy scripts out as a result of that. And that got me some good gigs. And yeah, and then what else is there to say? It's just me bouncing around from project to project for years on end, doing what another 15,000 other writers do. You pitch a show or pitch a movie, try to get financing, try to get a director attached, try to get an actor attached, see if you can get into production. Yeah, and that's pretty much been my life.
Well, I'd say, yeah, you got to keep on working at it. And like you said, when an opportunity comes up, it's kind of hard to say no when you want to keep that ball rolling with a lot of that stuff.
However, if I were born, 20 years later, with the internet the way it is, I wouldn't have to have worried about my relationship having ended that way. Cause it's like, yeah, you can definitely work remotely. We don't need you here. Cause
absolutely.
That's what the last 3 years of my life has been, mostly remote.
I joke about that with my kids all the time too, with my wife. Now we've been married, this year was 25 years.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you very much. But we dated for quite a while before that. But this was, again, like you were saying, before internet was such a big thing and before cell phones were such a big thing. And there was such a thing, at least in our country, of long distance phone call charges. And I don't know how many times we've looked at each other and said, if we could only have all that money back that we spent on long distance phone calls, because we lived, it wasn't super far away, but it was a couple hours away. And, we were making a lot of phone calls instead of driving or something. And, it's just funny how things change, over the years. And like you said, 20 years later, being remote or being further away might not have, been that big of a deal, or it would have been different anyway. And who knows, after that point.
It definitely would have been different. And like you, I mean, the amount of money myself and my ex-girlfriend would have saved on long distance calls from California to the Netherlands.
Yep.
Could have paid for a plane ticket from California to the Netherlands.
Oh, absolutely. So that's great. Like, so the Script Doctor name, I mean, we've talked about a lot of great stuff here already. Just from, you starting off and looking at, medical programs. So is that kind of where you got the name for the Script Doctor? Some of that love early on with that.
No, it's an industry term.
Okay. I didn't know if that was playing into that early on, what you were talking about, with, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So it's an industry term. It's not as often used today as it used to be.
Okay.
But oddly enough, William Goldman, who wrote The Princess Bride, Carrie Fisher, Thomas Lennon, Robert Barrett Garrett. These are like famous script doctors. These are people that they were hired because they had a way with words, story, and structure. And if a script had a great idea but just wasn't working, you'd hire them to look at the script. They would rework it to make it serviceable.
Okay.
And then if it was serviceable enough, sometimes you'd be able to negotiate a co-writer credit and then write a better draft. And therefore
Okay.
you get a bigger chunk of the pay
Okay.
afterwards. And yeah, there were lots of them. There are some that there are some that just did television pilots.
Okay.
So they'd just be called in. They're doing the pilot. Halfway through production, they're looking at the dailies. It's not working. They're probably going to do another 6 extra insurance days. They'll bring in a script doctor to basically look at what the dailies were, look at the script, see what they can punch it up and make it better, and then shoot that in order to better the odds that the pilot gets picked up for a first 13 episode order. And then you have your back 9 back in the days when we did 22 episodes for a show. And there's some people that just made their living doing that. And then, and the thing is with the writers, if you were a script doctor, you there'd always be apprehensions to studios wanting to buy your original stuff because this is the one thing this is something I've learned more so with regards to American culture than anywhere else, but especially in Hollywood. If you're really good at one thing, nobody can stretch their imagination to think that you could be good at something else.
Okay.
So if you're a screenwriter and you're really good at romantic comedies, but you wrote, say, a drama or a mystery, they would be perplexed because they're like, well, wait a minute, you're the romantic comedy guy. Why are you writing a mystery?
Okay.
You know how to write a mystery? Who taught you? Have you ever seen a mystery before?
Right.
They just could not fathom that you'd have other interests.
Right.
And script doctors hit every genre.
Okay.
Like it's whatever they're really good at. So you'll get them pitching various scripts of various genres, and it would throw a lot of studio execs, especially the younger ones, for a loop because they just did not know how to process that. They're like, oh, this guy I've hired for 5 of my romantic comedies is pitching me a science fiction adventure that's not funny.
Why?
It's going to cost 3 times what I normally produce. What is this? And then they would send it to a reader, and then if the reader liked it, they'd be like, oh, well, how the heck did he pull that off? Or how the heck was he, like, they just could not fathom that. And I've been to enough of the parties where you just realize that these people they're hired because of their degree, but they don't have an education.
I gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha.
So, and then you find the old studio guys who are like, oh, this guy is really good with dialogue. Let's just put him onto this movie in this genre. I don't care. He's just good with dialogue. He can make this boring thing sound great. And like that, those types are sadly a myth these days.
Interesting.
But yeah, so the script doctor itself, it came from that.
Okay.
It was 2018. The last 2 years for my work had been few and far between, and I couldn't figure out why.
Okay.
Because everybody was still taking my calls. I was still doing meetings.
Yeah.
And I was getting different types of rejections that didn't bother me. It just caused me to raise an eyebrow because I'd never heard certain excuses before, like, oh yeah, your presentation is good, your script is great, budget's on point, but it's just not something we're looking for right now. And that's not something you hear from a studio.
Right.
That is their entire, especially as the streaming services were picking up, their entire market is we just need more content.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't fathom that. I'm like, clearly I'm like out of sync with something. So I decided, okay, where can I go where my reputation won't interfere with what I'm going to say?
Gotcha.
And obviously the internet.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how do I do this? So I decided, okay, I'll create a character that will be my disguise, my veneer.
Yeah.
But I'll have to give myself some rules. So the rule I set for myself was, number 1, I would never reveal my name.
Okay.
Number 2, I would never lie about who I am, but I will hide the details that could reveal my identity.
Gotcha.
And in most cases, I've never actually had to put a lie to hide my details. I just say I'm not revealing that.
No comment. No
that
comment.
was the way I would do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other part I said to myself is because I would be essentially anonymous, I would be at a very high risk of manipulating information for my own personal gain. So I cannot be doing this for money. I got to be doing this for like development of myself.
Yeah.
And so that's the stuff that I've done. And I think I've stuck to those rules.
Yeah. No, it's good. And I could see where that be, I could see where that be good to have that separation of those two things, but you still can have fun with it. But I can understand too, where you don't want to.
Well, I don't want, like, one of the things I was worried about is because I did notice as I started just writing my essays and then putting out some interesting ideas there about like why this is silly or why this is not normal. I saw other commentators doing stuff, and then they're getting explosions of like, well, okay, I'm most likely never going to blow up like them, but if I do, one of the things you're going to be at risk of is affirmation bias and audience capture. And audience capture is something we were warned about in college and also in the industry as well. As you don't want the audience to capture you as a creative. You as a creative have to capture the audience.
Gotcha.
That is the relationship. The moment the audience captures you, you are no longer in control of the product that you're producing, the show that you're making, or the movie that you're making. And therefore, you are now trying to please the people that have captured you as opposed to hit the broadest target audience as possible.
Right.
And you cannot have that. And so that was one of the things I took from the industry to hear is like, okay, I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. I'm not, if someone doesn't like me or they demand I start reviewing or analyzing or certain things that I just have either I have no interest in doing, or I don't see anything from that particular recommendation that I haven't already addressed in something else, then I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
And I have been asked many times to do like Warhammer 40K or some sort of random anime, and I perused it and I'm like, nope, all the things that I see issues with it, I've done this already with other shows, with other products. I'm not doing it. My time is that I don't have that much time to get into the lore, especially when it comes to like any type of Japanese anime show or Warhammer 40K, which is 40 years of novels. I just don't have time to read, although I am very interested in looking it up, but it's just it's just a lot to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind, I'm going to run through just real quick and just say hi to a couple people that popped in the chat, just really quickly, and we'll get back to talking here. Jamie Hart jumped in here saying hello, so good to see you. And like everybody, I can't get to every single chat. I so much appreciate everybody jumping in here and talking and chatting between each other. I'm just trying to, get through and hit as many as I can and still, get as much time in here with the Script Doctor as I can. But we had Jimmy, Scottish Geek Guy, saying yes to the Phantom when you had a little shout out for that. So some love for that. And then also, yeah, absolutely. Great movie. And then he also saying the Marvel whiteboard thing is such a cool story to talk about it in DVD extras for the first Avengers movie. So.
They do. I've never seen the DVD extras for Avengers, so that's awesome.
yeah. And then also thank you, Scottish Jimmy, if you're throwing out the member for 1 month there. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. And Jamie's also saying 25 years of married life for her as well. So congrats. To you. Like I said, I'm just gonna run through really quick. We have Ari's World in here saying hello really quick. And, but I'm going to put Jamie was saying, don't worry about it, Corey. I'm enjoying listening to the Script Doctor. So yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you enjoying my ramblings.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty good at doing that myself. So, before switching gears for a little bit, but we're talking about all this now, like this whole progression that you've had, and then I'll get into where you're at. Do you feel like your role as a script doctor or your writing, has that influenced a lot? Or are you watching movies differently when you sit down, not for work? do you find, or does that happen anymore? I don't know.
I only break away from a film when it does something that betrays the premise of the film.
Okay. That was going to be a question.
Most of the time I just try to sit back and enjoy it just like an audience. Posted an article on my Patreon recently because there's been this, it's been going on for years, but it's been getting a bit louder more recently. This sentiment about how entertainment is supposed to be an escapism. And that offends me as an artist because, number one, I don't think reality should be viewed as a prison to escape from.
Okay.
I think reality is a beautiful, amazing thing that inspires us to create our fiction. Number two, a good story is not designed to have you shut off your brain or faculties. It's designed to engage you and to help you look at something familiar in a new perspective without preaching at you.
Okay.
And it's supposed to enrich your life. And the thing is, stories um, are symbiotic to our human experience because we've had them for thousands of years. And we
Hmm.
know, and the ones that have survived thousands of years are some of the best in the world that humanity has ever created. There's something very special about that to oversimplify them as merely an escape, no different than a drug, is
Right.
really like offensive. And it also makes me questions the type of people who believe in that versus the type that have just been, through the normal cultural zeitgeist, conditioned to just view them that way, on the surface, but subconsciously they know that that's not the case because if it was disposable, if it was escapism, you would never have the wonderful collection of movies behind you
Right.
because
Absolutely.
it wouldn't matter what that movie was. It's an escape. I just need anything to get an escape because that's what an escape is about.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's why I question anyone that kind of uses that term and uses it with full conviction because, yeah, it's stories are stories are our first method of how we teach future generations about what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Um, the whole idea is you look at the dawn of man when they discovered fire, or even prior to discovering fire, they would gather around, huddle, and talk about how they managed to survive that day, and
Right.
whatever
Right.
archaic language that they managed to form at that time. And that's how it is. And there's this fun story like analogy that I like to use as that, which is why a story is educational. And that is you'll hear a story about, say, a tribe living in a newly formed village, but there's a section of the village that no one is allowed to go there. And the reason no one's allowed to go there is because any hunter that has gone out there has never come back. And they
Yeah.
think the reason the hunters never come back is because there's a wild beast out there that is eating those hunters. And so you're taught never to go out there. But one curious young man wanted to go out there, and he thought, you know what? I'm not just going to go out there like the others. I'm going to hone my skills. I'm going to be the best spear thrower. I'm going to be the fastest runner. I'm going to be the strongest man so that I can find out what is in that forbidden area and come back and tell people what it is, because it's
Right.
really important to do so. And that person goes out there. He sees it as, a massive tiger. He gets into a fight, maybe gets some scratches or nearly loses a limb, but he manages to slay the tiger and then bring that corpse back to his village, where he says, "Behold, I have slayed this tiger. This is what's been killing us for a generation or so, or maybe it's for longer." Um, and you the moral of that simple story is like, oh, if there's ever something of unknown, what you should be doing is you know training the skills you have
Hmm.
so that you can ideally survive whatever is out in the world, in the unknown of the world, um, that might challenge you. And it's about overcoming obstacles. And those are your basics elements of story that are also very educational. So it's a very useful thing. You want to teach your kids like, hey, the world out there is a fun, fascinating place, but it's also dangerous and it's going to throw you some curveballs.
Hmm.
And it is my duty, as a parent or a teacher or mentor, to try and help you develop the skills you need so that you survive that and
Hmm.
become a better person for it.
Yeah.
And you can do it in a very direct way. You can do it with analogies, which is what stories are, or you can do it in a very passive aggressive way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what makes stories great. And that's how, like when I watch movies, I'm looking for, okay, can this story hook my interest? What's the dynamic? What does the main character want? Why they want it? What happens when they get it? What happens when they don't get it? Why is it important to them? And then all the other characters. And if I can pick those up pretty quickly, in a good movie will give me that information pretty quickly within the first 10 or 15 minutes.
Hmm.
And then I'm sucked in and I'm ready to go until something breaks that illusion.
Nice. And that might be some stuff I'm just leading into, but I saw some other real quick. I was just going to say hi to Smirk jumping in here and saying hello, but Jamie Hart was also saying, amen. All stories have a message. What point is there to telling a story without a lesson?
A
So,
Jason Statham movie.
yeah. Oh, well, we might get into some stuff like that
I
too.
like him a lot. He needs to do more comedy. He
Okay.
has amazing comic timing. The fact that he's only doing action films is
Yeah.
a detriment to our sense of humor.
So when you say comedy, do you like lean into something like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, or like what would be something that you've seen that you're like you've seen some of that glimmer of some comedic?
As weird as it is to say, he was in the Paul Feig movie Spy with Melissa McCarthy,
I've never seen that one. I've never
and
seen it.
he commits to his character
Okay.
at a level that you've never seen him commit to any other character he's ever played before.
Yeah.
And he does it with such timing and conviction that he could stand up as some of the greats for the comedic actors that you could see out there that didn't start as a stand-up.
I'll have
Yeah,
to check that out. I've never watched that one before. So
it's a very so it's part of like the old type of movie where you do take a masculine premise, but you put a woman in there, but instead of turning the woman masculine, you have her insecurities as a woman in this masculine world be her flaw that she has to try and get over. And
okay.
it's not for her to be turned into a masculine character at the end. It's just to basically survive to the end point. So you have Melissa McCarthy. She is put into a James Bond situation, but she is neither suave nor debonair nor attractive. So she's got a lot working against her. And the movie plays into that because that is your fish out of water dichotomy.
Huh. No, I'll have to check that out. I'm gonna say hi real quick. I saw Nadia jump in here, horror with Nads, saying, "What's up, everyone? Good to see you." So that makes me curious then. So if you're gonna like sit down and watch a movie at home for fun, do you have what kind of mood do you have to be in, or what do you lean towards? What would be something as a go to for you that you're gonna be like, I just want to sit down and watch something for fun?
I got a long list of stuff. I got my guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
So I like stupid Andy Sedaris films because they are like just moronic. but
Yeah.
but the thing is, it leans into all like um, the target audience of teenagers, and it reminds me of like what it was like to be a teenager when
Yeah.
I sit down to watch that. I've shown it to my girlfriend. She laughs at them. That they're accidental comedies. They're great. Um, I really like watching something that kind of inspires. So um, I like watching Contact every once in a while. Carl Sagan wrote
Mm-hmm.
that to a degree. Jodie Foster is fantastic in that performance,
Mm-hmm.
and also there's some camera techniques in that movie that makes me like believe in movie magic again, even though I know how they did it. For
Right.
instance, there's this one shot where Jodie Foster's character, when she's a child, she hears that her dad is suffering. She's at the front of the house. She runs up the stairs, runs down the hall, and then all
Oh.
of a sudden, you realize it's a reflection, and she opens up the mirror to the medicine cabinet, pulls out the medicine, and runs back. And you're like, how did they pull that off? Because they went around a corner.
I know what you're talking about.
But
Yeah.
I know how they did that with the camera syncing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I like those types of things. I like the fact that it's a very clever aspect of it, and it's also a reminder of like what science was, which is science is about discovering as much as we can based on what we can observe, but having faith that we can pull out, that we can actually find those answers.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a great film. On the on the guilty pleasure sides, there is a National Lampoon's comedy called Class Reunion, which is not
Oh.
very good, but it is
Yeah.
silly.
Oh, that's all
There's
right. Yeah, you got to have some of those.
Broken Lizard. I remember bumping into those guys shortly after they tried to go mainstream by doing the Dukes of Hazzard movie,
Mm-hmm.
which was not a horror. I mean, it's mediocre, but it was actually a lot better than you'd expect the Dukes of Hazzard film to be. Because I grew up watching that show. I'm like, this is very silly, but it's charming.
Yeah.
That's one as well. I'm trying to think of. Down Periscope is a nice, fun little comedy.
Yeah.
Kelsey Grammer comedy. There's supposed to be a fan edit of that has some footage that was never made it to the final cut that kind of beefs up the story a little bit. I'd love to find that. Yeah, because I don't. I mean, I don't really get into like a major like movie needing to see mood,
Hmm.
but sometimes, uh, like I'll be thinking of a project I'm working on. It's like, well, maybe I want this actor for that role, or at least I'll use them as a foundation for it.
Right.
And if I feel like I need to capture their voice, I'll take a look at sort of what movies they've been in recently, and then see if I can, and then I'll watch them and then see what their voice currently is versus what it is I'm thinking of in my head, and if there's some synergy there, and if there is, then it works out. And if not, well, at least I got to see a couple of new flicks for them.
Sure. Sure. So when you're looking at some of those, I mean, some of those obviously are going to be at home, but do you have a preference? I always like asking people, but do you lean towards theater or home viewing for your movies?
In recent years, home viewing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is only because I've gone to many movie theaters around the world,
Yeah.
and the one common aspect of them is there's always someone there that's going to ruin the experience. And if it's
Yeah.
not, and if you're in the movie theater and you don't find that someone, it's you.
Yeah. Yeah. You ruined it for somebody else, but.
Because I've gone to see some horrible movies with friends
Hmm.
in virtually empty theaters where, yeah, you're just making fun of the movie like Mystery Science Theater 3000 with your buddies, and
Hmm.
nobody's upset with you for it.
Right. Right.
And then there's other times where you're going to see a movie because you heard some really good things, and it's either some teenagers or some really disgruntled adult that is
Yeah.
doing something crazy. I remember I've seen two fights break out in Disney films. The first one
For real. Okay.
was Pirates of the Caribbean
Okay.
between three different women.
Hmm.
I don't know how the fight started, but it
Interesting.
went on for a long time because the theater projecting team just kept on repeating the trailers because they wanted to see how the fight would end before they rolled the movie.
Uh,
And
okay.
I realized this the second time I saw the same trailer for, I think, Bridget Jones 2 or something like that.
Okay.
Before,
Okay.
I can't remember. I think it was Bridget Jones Diary 2.
That's funny.
And that's when I realized, wait a minute, the movie should have started by now, but it's not because these three women are fighting. It's
Want to
like
see
it's
the
a verbal
outcome?
fight and fist fight all at the same time. Nobody's coming in to break it up. And I'm just like, you know what? This is like a bonus pre-show, so I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy as well. I'm not gonna get involved. I know. I don't want to be on the news.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And then the next one was actually at Star Wars Revenge. Oh, sorry, not that wasn't Disney, but at the time it is now. But Star Wars Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
A teenager threw a full bottle of Pepsi randomly in the audience,
Mm.
and it hit a guy. And the guy got up, looked around, and he saw another group of kids who were from a different direction where that bottle came from, standing up and going to lead. And he points at them, and he starts climbing over the seats to go throttle them. And
Oh,
they're freaking out because they have no idea what the heck is going on.
yeah.
And I'm just thinking that guy does not know direction well because he got hit on the right side of his head and he decided to turn left to see who threw that. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh. Luckily, I haven't had anything that crazy, but I completely understand what you're saying. Even if it's a super bright screen on a smartphone just out of the corner of your eye or something like that,
yeah, those are annoying too.
that just is taking your attention away. I can definitely see that.
Yeah, but I mean, I've enjoyed the. I enjoyed the theater experience vastly in other times, but most of the time now, just because where I live and also where I've traveled to, um, I haven't been enjoying going to the theater because the crowds are not that great, and on top of that, the price is just too high.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's
I noticed the
expensive.
prices changing in around 2009, 2010,
Hmm.
arbitrarily because I had already been in the industry for about 3.5, 4 years at that
Yeah,
time, and no one. I never heard anyone on our side complain, "Oh, we need to start charging more for movie tickets." Like,
right.
never popped into anyone's head.
Yeah.
But theaters were trying to compete with Netflix going into streaming
Yeah.
and home theater systems. And I met a crazy guy who claimed he was Chris Rock's cousin, like the stand-up
Okay.
Chris Rock,
Yeah, yeah.
and he installed home theater systems.
Okay.
And he installed very terrible home theater systems.
Mm.
Someone who wanted to see if he could meet Chris Rock hired him, that I knew, and he invited me over. He was like, "Hey, you got to see what Chris Rock's cousin, or the guy that claims he's Chris Rock, come did to my home."
Mm.
I'm like, okay, and I go into his home theater, and it's just it's just a 40-inch flat screen TV with a couple of speakers around, and there's
Mm.
nothing. It's not a home theater.
Yeah, I could have done this for you.
Yeah. But yeah, we never heard about it at the time. But then I noticed when I went to AMC, ticket prices went up $2. When I went to Cineplex up in Canada, ticket prices went up $2.50.
Hmm.
When I went to a Regal, prices were up another $2. And I was like, well, this is weird. Like, why? And then
Right.
a couple of years later, you notice, oh, these theaters really they upgraded their seats.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more cleaner. It's like, okay, that is justified. Okay, that must be
Mhm.
why they raised the ticket prices and want to compete. And then every year the tickets would go up 50 to 75 cents. And
Mhm.
then normally a show where it'd be you and a date for $20 plus concessions ended up being, oh, it's like $18 a person and then concessions on top of that, and then parking, because some movie theaters now started to charge for parking, which was obscene. Because
That's crazy. I haven't run into that one yet.
oh, you're
Definitely
lucky.
just the raising ticket prices, yes, for sure. But the parking, no, no. Fortunately, I have not had to deal with that yet.
Oh, you're very lucky.
That's
So
crazy because you think they want to get you in there.
they do, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, listen, you buy a ticket, you get your parking validated. It's free. You can
Mhm.
go in, you're good.
Right, right.
So I noticed the biggest problem I saw, and then other my colleagues were saying, like, wow, okay, so ticket prices are going up, and studios are a little bit happy because again, their percentages don't change, so they're getting a little bit more revenue
Yeah.
for putting out the same models that they had, and then I'm just thinking like, well, this is not going to be too good because the movie itself was counterculture to the theater.
Mm.
Like, you don't go to Broadway, you don't go to a stage play because it's really expensive. It's a high class thing. You're paying $200-300 a ticket, even if they're nosebleed tickets. If you
Mhm.
want to get fun entertainment, good stories, and good acting, and you want to do it on a budget, you go to the movie theater for a $10 bill. You get your ticket, and
Mhm. Yeah.
you're entertained for the next 2 hours, and maybe your life changes for the better.
Right.
Or if it's a terrible film, well, you don't feel like you're ripped off because it's only $10.
Yeah. Not a couple hundred or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was a big concern for us. And then we started hearing about the studios starting their own streaming company, and we thought, well, that could be stupid or it could be brilliant. And it could be brilliant if they just said, oh, everything we do on network and cable, we just pump it through the internet, exactly the same, no change. They didn't do it that way.
Yeah.
So,
Well, do you feel that was something I was going to maybe hit on later, but just with you saying that right there, do you think the push for streaming services right now and where that whole model has been going, have you seen a big shift in how when you're talking about scripts for movies, what kind of content you're putting out, like a big change or a shift in that whole process or what they're looking for?
oh, okay, I'll give you this great story. So,
Okay.
before streaming became a thing,
Mm-hmm.
there was a ton of us writers who really wanted to do a proper condensed serialized form, like, because we had like traditionally you had like a mini series, like 3 or 4 part episode thing of just a concept and
Mm-hmm.
beginning, middle, end type of deal, and then you had the newer style of like a serialized series. So that was like your soap operas. They do a whole season arc with your characters, and then later went on to Star Trek, and then you had Battlestar Galactica, and then other shows are popping up, some cop shows. I think the Commish, and then the Shield.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are all popping up as like long form serialized episodes. And
Mhm.
one of the things that a bunch of us were always upset with is like, man, 22 episodes is awesome, but the problem is that in those 22 episodes, a minimum of a third of that is a filler episode. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
move the story. It doesn't develop character. It's just kind of, it's a random thing. I think it would be awesome if we could get a model where we do, you have your, we know what your season arc is going to be. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to be 22 episodes. It can be, 12. And then what you would do is you'd have it, you'd have a premiere of like spring premiere. You'd take the summer off, and then you have a fall premiere of the next season with a brand new story.
Okay.
And there's a couple different interpretations of how you do this model. So like, one interpretation was like, okay, you still have a 22 episode order, but the first 11 seasons is treated as like its own individual season, and then you start a brand new story with the back 11. However, some writers protested to that because you only get your first 13, and then you take your winter break and you come back for your back 9. So
Mhm.
it doesn't line up with that schedule. So they're like, yeah, maybe 13 and 13. It's like, yeah, but you're never going to get a 26 episode season again. During the 90s, you went from 26 to 22, and then at the turn of the century, you went from 26 to 24. And at the turn of the century, you went from 24 to 22. You're not getting any more out of that.
Mhm.
So, but we played with around the idea of like, wouldn't it be great if you could just tell like a really great story, like your best episodes, as one season? You'd have a very efficient, very well done season. And there are some great writers out there that were able to do it. They would basically tuck themselves away for about 8 months, and then
Yeah.
they'd come out with like a 10 episode season that was just amazing. Like
Yeah.
every episode was self-contained episode, but it's set up for the following episode. It had a great conclusion. All was fantastic.
And cut the filler out.
And there's no filler in it,
Yeah.
and there is nobody interested in buying it.
Oh, yeah.
And some of these scripts would circulate around for years. And Netflix, when they started getting to streaming, they oddly enough did not pick it up.
Okay.
They picked up some other shows, but when we saw Netflix was doing original content, we figured, okay, well, this is probably our chance. So we can get these condensed seasons that had no filler, that were just high quality episodes, and people will probably watch them. And then Netflix said, yeah, we want to get into this, but we're going to drop the entire season at once. And that bothered us, because now it's like, well, you drop it at once, it's only going to be in the conversation for the time it's aired.
Mm-hmm.
And how are we going to build our careers out of that? How is the cast going to build a career out of that if nobody's talking about them on a weekly basis? So that was our first red flag.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you cannot drop a 10 episode series on one day. And then on top of that, we asked the question, well, what happens if we have a second season? So you drop all of it on one day, and then you have to wait another year for the second season. Like it's not, you're waiting a year anyways for the start of the next season, but in between the start of the first season and the end of that first season, you're dealing 10 to 22 weeks, which is the majority of the year. Then you take a few months off for the summer, and then you're back in the fall with your next season. So you've only had a very short window where your audience that's watching the show isn't talking about the show.
Yeah.
And then they're getting excited for the next season. But if you do all that in one go on one day, you now have 364 days of nobody talking about your show, unless it's an amazing hit. And even then, it's still probably going to be 300 days where they're not talking about it, and they're going to forget about your show.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got a chunk of the year they could forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when the next season comes in, you have to spend more money reminding people, hey, remember that show that you liked that got 65 million views over the weekend, and you haven't thought about in 9 months?
Yeah.
Well, the next season's coming back now.
And then they're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
So
I kind of wonder if they were, I always wondered too. And I think some of the streaming services are now going away from that a little bit too, where they were figuring out people would just sub up for like 1 month and like knock that whole season out and then cancel their subscription and not hang around at all too. So
for $7, you could watch, all the shows that you missed over the course of the year within a 1 month period. And then you can just schedule that again for another time. So yeah, better than paying $7 for 12 months. It's a good deal.
Yeah.
Not great sustainable. I mean, Netflix, as popular as they are, as huge market share that they are hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
But because they have such a huge market share, they can always get more loans and more lines of credit to stay in operation. So yeah, they're in a pretty sweet deal. When the studios decided to do their own streaming service, again, as I said before, we were all hoping they just repeat the network model,
right?
Which is that, you sign up to Warner Brothers Plus or Paramount Plus or Sony Plus, what have you, and you get to see all their archive stuff. Plus, after it's debuted on television, you get to watch it on streaming the next day, just like with Hulu.
Right.
That's what we thought it was going to be like. They went the Netflix model, which has hurt everything, and now some of the streaming services, as you mentioned, they're going more week to week, trying to extend those subscriptions. And they're also now doing ads, which is what pays for most of the industry.
Right.
And it's a nightmare. It's basically the chickens have come home to roost when it comes to all these Ivy League executives who, again, had the degrees and diplomas but didn't have any education and
Right.
completely reinvented the wheel. And instead of making a wheel, they made a block, and now nothing moves, and
Hmm.
jobs have left the state.
And, okay, sorry. No, like I said, I get scattered. But talking about that topic now, and this is me, an outsider looking in on it, and I don't have anything to base this on, and I could be wrong if how it really is. But it kind of felt like for a long time, there was like I'm a movie star or I'm a TV personality, kind of a thing, and there wasn't a lot of crossover. But lately, with some of these streaming services and some of the things that they're putting out, I'm seeing bigger, in my opinion, bigger names doing series on their streaming services instead of movies. Like I said, I'm an outsider. Maybe this is not what you're seeing though too, but do you have any surprises with some of the names that are popping up on a small series, or I'm not saying small series, but like a series on a streaming service instead of a theatrical release movie?
Um, I'm not really surprised.
Okay.
Actors do not work as much as we think they do.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
any opportunity for them to get a paycheck, they're going to take. I know some people were surprised to see like Samuel Jackson on, was it Tulsa King?
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
He's in retirement age, and he just wants to do a couple of things that are a bit more stable, and you can get more cash out of a streaming series as an actor, especially with a name like Samuel Jackson, than you could doing a couple of movies back to back, which take a little bit more time, especially with some of the models that is working in streaming now, where you're shooting, your entire season in 3 months.
Yeah.
And and when you're working on a feature film, you're probably shooting, a 2-hour movie across 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah.
I was just curious because like when you say Tulsa King, you got Stallone, and then him. You said Samuel L. Jackson coming onto that one. I know I watched recently, or not recently, but when it came out, there was, oh gosh, now I'm blanking on the name now, but it had Pierce Brosnan and
Mafia Wars or whatever it was.
yeah,
Mobland.
Mobland. Yes, thank
yeah.
you. Sorry, I'm great at messing names up.
Me too.
Yeah, but like, and then and Helen Mirren's in that, and there's, I don't know. I just start thinking about through some of the different series where I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're bringing, and then now I know I have some friends that are really getting into what's the one with Billy Bob Thornton?
Landman.
Landman. Yeah.
I am going to be disappointing a lot of people on that show.
And I have not dug into it yet, so you would not disappoint me because I would
say this. There's a podcast that Landman is based off of.
Okay.
Listen to the podcast, way better.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I can't remember what the name of the podcast is, but if you just Google podcast that Landman is based off of, it's a short podcast. I think it's like 10 episodes or maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
All real accounts of what's going on in the oil fields from various people that had worked there, or this guy that's collected information on there.
Sure.
It's a fascinating podcast. Completely understand why it would make such an interesting subject for Landman.
Mm-hmm.
But Landman is a soap opera disguised as a serious drama.
Yeah.
Trying to promote certain values while at the same time being hypocritical of those values.
Okay. Okay.
It makes it for good drama, but it's not what the people that I hear commenting on how much they like it aren't realizing that it's kind of an affront to everything they believe in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, like I said, I have not dug into that one yet, but it's just, that's one that has come out a lot where I've heard people talking about it, and he's a big name that I'm like, oh wow, he's in a series, and so there's just been quite a few of those that seem to be popping up, and I don't know, maybe in the 80s, early 90s, it just didn't seem like you were seeing some of these people that you saw on the movie screen coming over to do, but also a whole different ball game, like we talked about with the streaming services. And
it's a brand new media outlet,
mm-hmm.
and so like in the old days, TV actors would try to make it big so they could get into film, and then after you've run your course in film, you'd go back to TV.
Okay.
Now you have that same type of formula, only you have TV and streaming both as an option.
Yeah.
So you could do a sitcom or a drama. Like Gary Sinise, he's on. He went from short television to feature films, and now he's doing television again.
Yeah.
Like a major series. I can't remember which one. Might be like one of the Chicago series, or maybe it's an NCIS,
Oh,
or
okay.
it's a procedural of some sort.
Yeah.
So you have that option there. Just kind of the way. I mean, the way it works is that, especially within the last 30 years, your status as talent does not guarantee you the outcome you expect. So you
Yeah,
take
sure.
work when you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the other part too is, even though the trades will report that many of these actors are getting paid millions and pound millions of dollars to do these movies, number one, you have to remember that at least 50% of that is taken away by state and federal taxes.
Yeah.
Then even more percentage from lawyers and legal fees for stuff that you don't really need you don't need lawyers for, so you shouldn't be paying those legal fees anyways. And then on top of that, a lot of actors have to start their own production company where they hire a staff that searches for work for them. So you have your agent looking for jobs for you, you have your manager looking for jobs for you, you have your own production company that's looking for people to send them scripts so that they can package them to make a movie, so you have work.
Right.
So most of the millions that you're getting there, you're getting probably walking away with 15% of that for yourself, and then the rest is going to everything else to help maintain your image and your brand. So when you take a look at someone like Robert Downey Jr., when he gets paid like $50 million for a movie, he's probably keeping 10 million of that, and 40 of that is going to Team Downey, state and federal taxes, and legal fees.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting to look, when you look at all that, but you know, I know what you're saying, because they'd like to throw out that big number, you know, they'll be like,
Well,
they
yeah,
signed for the.
so that leads into so reputation is the currency of Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Money is a byproduct of that currency.
Yeah.
But if you can get into the trades with saying like you got paid $50 million for a movie, everybody knows, well, you're not walking home with $50 million.
Right.
But it's an impressive amount that you got as your quote, which means the next time a big studio wants you, you can say, well, I want $50 million. But fortunately for many studios recently, they said, well, it's not you that demands that quote. It's the fact that you're playing a character in a franchise that's more popular than you. You just happen to be the best person right now to play that character. Therefore, you're able to earn the money. But if you want to do this obscure thing, we're not paying you $50 million for that. We're paying you $5 million for that.
Yeah. It's going to be on a scale with what they're thinking
like
they're going to pull in.
Hugh Jackman was just in a movie that came out last weekend. He was not paid his normal $30 to $40 million that he got for like Deadpool and Wolverine. He's paid like $3 or $5 million for it.
Yeah. There's the
and again, walking away with maybe 10-15% of that, actually.
Yeah, that whole cost return ratio type of thing. But they gotta,
which is why it's kind of funny. I mean, Nathan Fillion, who's an actor, he's mostly TV right now, but he's done a couple of movies.
Yeah.
He does live in LA, but he has a place back home in Alberta, and that's where he's able to really keep his money. Because he's like says, yeah, I can do stuff with as an American, dual citizenship or Canadian. And if you pay me on this much for the Canadian, I keep way more of it because there's a lot less bureaucracy, oddly enough, in Canada compared to California. And in some cases, that helps him get a lot more stretch.
The tax side of it isn't quite as bad, or
the tax side. I mean, Canada is not immune to high taxes, but we have certain requirements where, like, if you want to get the best outcome on your taxes, you can call a number that is available, and they are by law to tell you every single option you have available to pay less tax.
I got you.
And a lot of people do that, but more people don't know that you can't do that.
I got you.
So this, usually like this March and April, I'll be on the phone for maybe 8 to 9 hours doing my taxes, making sure I pay as little as possible.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever paid, since I've been paying taxes, I don't think I've ever paid more than 18%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, taxes. They're always a fun thing to talk about. So that'll be coming around for us before too long here too. So
exactly. But like for talent, it's it's no limits now. I mean, the industry is shrinking, and it's shrinking because it had been artificially inflated for 20 years.
Yeah.
And the other part too is there's been no real second generation of talent coming in. That's taking the world by storm. I mean, right now it's like Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya for reasons I still can't fathom, and Sydney Sweeney, and all of these people are approaching 30. Like,
Hmm.
there's no 20 something that's blowing people away with their performances and making a name for themselves. And the average age of your action movie star is between 45 and 55.
They've kind of felt like the action stars in particular. I felt like have kept aging more.
Yeah. Like
Like
even
they,
Glenn Powell, he's like mid to
it,
late 30s.
yeah, looks great. I'm not going to hold anything against them, but yeah, when you're talking about that, like, yeah, it seems like there was, I don't know, and maybe that's a misperception on my part too, but like, I think it's some 80s, early 90s action stars, and they were a lot younger than a lot of them that we're
Except for
seeing now.
Stallone, yeah, because
Oh
Stallone was
yeah,
the
yeah,
oldest of them all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He
But yeah,
was,
I mean, you're right. Like Schwarzenegger when he debuted, he was late 20s,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
taking names and doing well. And like, well, Stallone, because he's like 78, 79, like Stallone's old,
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
he looks pretty good.
Oh
Billy
yeah.
Bob Thornton, to your point, he's 70.
Mm,
He's
yeah.
playing a 45-year-old in Landman, which is funny. And then he's got a character who's his dad, who's Sam Elliott, who's only 10 years older than him.
That's funny. Yeah.
And Sam Elliott was on a show that was called The Yellow Rose, which was essentially Yellowstone in 1980, and it had Sybil
Yeah.
Shepherd.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny enough. Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you what, if I could look like Billy Bob Thornton, how he looks right now in Landman, and he's 70, when I'm 70, I'd probably be okay with that. So,
Be pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Doing all right. So,
My girlfriend was laughing because she watched an episode the other day. She's like, "Yep, he's definitely 70 years old." I'm like, well, how do you know that for sure? She's like, he scratched away his butt. There's nothing there. It's just a flat, straight line.
yep. Yep. That happens. That happens. But,
Does.
well, it is kind of funny. So we're looking back at, some of the stars and the action stars that we're talking about in movies and being younger, and now they're tending to be older. Do you feel like, do you think there was more like bigger movie stars back in the past, and or it's more nostalgia looking back at it? When we're looking back at that, be like, man, it just seems like they were younger, bigger stars. And I don't want to put words in your mouth. Maybe you don't feel that way, but when you look back at some of that, do you think nostalgia just skews or the way we look at what they were and what they are now?
I'm sure there's a little bit of that, but there used to be an industry of making movie stars.
Yeah.
Like, that was there. It doesn't exist today.
Yeah.
Um, so there's been a massive change. Unfortunately for YouTube, a lot of people have put up old television interviews of various stars from the 70s all the way through the 90s of
Yeah.
their red carpet experiences or the one-on-ones or whatever.
Hmm.
And you can realize like how frequent that is. And if you try to watch like, E Entertainment News or Entertainment Tonight and stuff, the show format is the same, but it just doesn't have the same impact. Doesn't feel like it's the same relevancy to it again. And they'll talk about more gossip than actual productions,
Yeah.
which I always felt kind of weird. So, I mean, I'll put it to you this way: the success to failure ratio has not changed.
Hmm.
It's still 90% garbage, 10% amazing.
Hmm.
The problem is that Hollywood used to operate more on like an 18-hour cycle, but with streaming and the fact that everything has become far more worldwide, it's a 24-hour cycle, which means that we've just gone another 6 hours of extra content output demand per day. So while the ratio is the same, the quantity is greater. And so now it's harder for us to realize, oh yeah, it feels like there's way more terrible stuff than there is good stuff, because you can count way more bad stuff than you can good stuff.
Right.
But when you take a look at the broader scope of the numbers, it's still 10% things that are great and 90% things that make you wonder what the heck were they thinking when they made this. And,
Right.
and especially with streaming, like we used to go from an average of 80 shows a year up until 2001
Hmm.
to almost 600 shows a year up until 2023. And these are new original shows.
Right.
That is a massive multiplier. And that
Mhm.
definitely skews an audience perception on what is good and what is bad and how much of that is the case. Because when you have so much to choose from, that's oversaturation, which means that the good stuff that you're looking for is going to be harder to find.
Mhm.
And on top of that, because there's so much content out there and there's no reliable source to find out what is really great to watch that's promoting that, you are lost in the warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, just
Mm.
wondering like, where's the good stuff?
Yeah, it's in one of these boxes around here somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
and you've got
Yeah.
to look, and it's going to take a
Yeah.
long time. And sadly, for some people, they'll find a great show and they'll realize, oh, it's been canceled because
Mm.
nobody knew it existed.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
and you're like, but this was great, and maybe you'll get a revival if it gets binged on Netflix. And but the revival's never going to be as good as what made it work in the first place.
yeah. No, unfortunately, I've been in that spot before too, where I've come across a series and I'm like, this is really good. And then it got canceled before they could really tie things up. And then you're
Mhm.
always left with like, what happened? Like what really happened? You got to make it up for yourself then, I guess, at that point. But I'm gonna run through just real quick. I saw a couple new
Go ahead,
names
please.
jumping in here, and we got D in here from our Jurassic Chaos. Hope we had an amazing weekend. Yeah, it's been a great weekend. I know a lot of us, Script Doctor. I know you were talking about it too. We've had some busy but good weekends going on. So, um, let me see here. I at least want to say hi to people that have jumped in here. We got Box Office Brawler here saying, "Wow, imagine charging for parking at a theater. They have no chance."
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm a little behind on the chat, but yeah, that one surprised me too. That was one I think would be a tough sell, but
Well, you also have to consider, especially in denser cities, like you've got underground parking or
I
parking
agree.
lot
Yep,
facilities across the street from a theater that's in part of a strip mall or something. And
agree.
it's like you don't have, I mean, you still have them, fortunately, but I mean, more people than you realize go to the movies in those types of situations than driving out to like kind of the outskirts of town where you've got that giant,
Agree.
massive parking lot, the movie theater, and a couple of restaurants around the area for
Yep.
after the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where in not correctly, I kind of like go to what I'm familiar with, and I'm in a very small market. So, I drive up to my theater and there's big parking lot around it. And like you said, a couple restaurants and a few other things. And I just like, how could you ever pay? But it's just like staying at a hotel though, too. It's a little different if you're staying downtown New York City or, you know, some little town around me,
Something
it's,
out in the middle of
yeah,
Maryland. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Well, maybe they don't have their own parking spot. It's a parking garage and you got to pay to park there. But
That's right. Yeah.
got Scolder in here saying hello. Good to see you, Scolder. Like I said, if I miss everybody's, I'm not going to be able to get to everything, but I just wanted to at least say hi to people like Nikki here, Jane Doe Latte saying good evening, Corey and friends. Good to see you. We got Unplugged here saying hello from the UK. Good to see you,
Hello,
sir.
sir.
Hope you're doing well. Doing good. I'm hurrying here. Sorry. I'm Henry in here, Regari21 saying hey, Corey, happy Monday. And then doing some of the custom emojis that StreamYard doesn't like to show, correct? And he saying hi to you as well.
Hey.
Script Doctor. Let me see here. I'm trying to hurry about through here. We got Chris in here, Black Glove Reviews, saying evening, everyone. Hope you're having a great evening. Yeah, just hanging out, talking movies. It could be worse. It could be worse. So let's just say that. So got Chilo in here saying hello, Corey. I hope all is well. Happy Monday. I have to say, with all the holiday stuff going on, I was a little thrown off. So when I was like throwing some things out to put the link out here for the live stream tonight on Instagram, I threw a little post and said, come join us tonight to hang out. And I put Sunday night at this time. And my daughter actually saw it. And she goes, Dad, is this the one you said you were going to do tonight? And I go, yeah. She goes, it's Monday, right? And I'm like, oh, dang it. And so I had to delete it and put another one out there. But it's crazy how I have a little time away from work and a busy schedule hanging out with some family. And all of a sudden I can't remember what day it actually is. But.
Days bleed together and you're like, what? I was like that on Thursday. I kept on feeling like it was Friday. And it's like, but I don't normally do this stuff. Like, because, Thursday was Christmas. It's like, it just doesn't feel like a Thursday.
Absolutely. In my head, I just knew we were going to be hanging out tonight. And then in my head, I was like, it's Sunday night. And I'm like, nope, it's Monday. But, so I know I've kind of hinted back this a couple times, but with you, going from just watching movies to going into the screen doctor role and everything like you have right now, do you feel like when you're just sitting down to watch a movie, do you have anything that really jumps out to you that you have a good hope for the movie with the script or anything? Is there any type of signs or things you look for? And I know that might be pretty difficult to say, and maybe it wouldn't be, but do you have anything that you're just like, this one's working and I'm gonna have a, who knows how it's gonna end, but
Mhm.
I'm hopeful.
Well, the last time that really did strike me strongly was when I went to see the very first Kingsman film back in
Oh, yeah,
2014,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it was.
yeah.
Um, I knew I was going to have a great time because they did an inventive use of the opening credits.
Oh, okay. I'll have to even
Uh,
go back and rewatch it. I've seen it, but it's been a long time ago.
yeah, because it starts off with, like, I guess a couple of terrorists listening to the radio, and then a helicopter comes in and just starts blowing everybody up, and then from the explosion, the like letters come out, and that forms the title cards, um, and it felt um, partly self-aware,
Yeah,
but it also felt like we are going to up this up. We're going to like turn it up to 11 type of thing, Spinal Tap style.
yep, yep.
And I was like, okay, this has got me hooked. I hope they deliver. And Colin Firth being able to play an action hero and,
Yeah,
and a great one sold the movie. And it's like, yep, this is it. I want to see this story. I'm here for the end. And all the emotional peaks and valleys that it had all worked the way it did. And yeah,
yeah,
and I enjoyed it. I thought this was really fun.
yeah.
And then the only time I was disappointed was when the Golden Circle came out. And I
Mm.
saw that. I'm like, oh, I know what they were doing. They're trying to turn it on its head
Yeah,
and they're focusing more on surprising the audience than telling a great story. And that was their big flaw. And they kind of had a similar issue with that with the Kingsman prequel with Ralph Fiennes. Was it Ralph Fiennes or was it the other guy?
oh, yeah.
um, but yeah, yeah.
That was one of the last ones that really struck you. You're like that first Kingsman. That was like,
Yeah, that was the one
yeah.
where because I went into it cold.
Hmm.
Someone told me like, yeah, they're trying to start a new spy franchise. Matthew Vaughn's doing it, and I'm like, okay, I like Matthew Vaughn. He's a really good writer and
Yeah,
filmmaker. And yeah, I went into it cold, and I was like, wow, this is really great.
yeah,
And it used cast members in an interesting way. So yeah, that was one of the things that I enjoyed. And Taron Egerton really just stood out. And he should be a bigger name because he's a legit real actor.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, he's still not household yet.
Hmm. Yeah, you always have some of those that you run across that you're like, how are they not bigger than what they are right now, kind of a thing. But you still can enjoy them. But before I move on, I saw you, Sergeant G. Thanks. Yeah, at least I'm not the only one that lose track of the day. So I got some misery loves company. That's what we say, and so my forgetfulness loves company. I'll say that. But leading off of that one, so when you're working on scripts and things, are there any writing rules that you get annoyed with that get broken in movies, but you find maybe a casual viewer like myself might not take notice of?
Well, one rule that you should never break is never make your antagonist dumber than the protagonist for the sake of the protagonist.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think a lot of people can pick up on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because one of the things you have, like on the writing side of things, especially with character, your antagonist and protagonist are supposed to be at odds with each other, and it is your job as a storyteller to instill doubt in the audience as to the protagonist succeeding with their goal.
Okay. Yeah.
You want it to look like they might fail,
Yeah.
and you want the journey that they're going through to lay the groundwork for the potential of success, but the odds are still stacked against them.
Okay.
Then you take a look at something like, say, Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And it's one villain monster versus 5 teenagers with attitude
Yeah.
who all have superpowers. It's like
Yeah.
that's a 5-on-1 battle. Clearly, it's
Yeah.
outnumbered and it's not fair.
Yeah.
Here's another one. We'll go to Tulsa King. So Tulsa King
Yeah.
is a very interesting dynamic because in a typical story, you have, like, say, a small town, a guy running a business in a small town, and then some guy from New York comes in, says, I am going to start my own business, and I'm going to drive you out of business.
Yeah.
And that, in a typical story, that is the antagonist, and the protagonist is the underdog who's just trying to make their own business and try to work their way up to success. But
Hmm.
this big city slicker comes in and tries to twirl that all around.
Right.
Well, Tulsa King is that story told from the perspective of the city slicker.
Okay.
Stallone is that guy from New York who comes into town and starts his own business and weasels out the people that had been there for a long time, generations, or started their own things out.
Yeah.
But everything goes perfect for Stallone's character.
Yeah.
He'll have a guy get shot. He'll lose a guy on to some violence to get shot, or maybe he'll have some sort of bureaucracy kind of getting in the way. But he always has money, and he always has a speech that just writes everything out for him so that he's in a good situation. And it doesn't feel dramatic.
Yeah.
It just feels like, okay, this guy, he wants my business. Okay, I'm going to go to his office. I'm going to tell him he can't have my business.
Yeah.
And then he's going to be like, okay, I guess I won't have your business. And that's the end of the scene. I'm oversimplifying it, but that is essentially what the crux is. And I'm like, okay, I mean, it's interesting that you turned it on your head, but you are conditioning your audience to root for the guy that's coming into a foreign land and is taking over that foreign land to make it more like his land. And there's stuff going on in the political spectrum right now that's saying we don't like that.
Right.
And yet you like Tulsa King because he's doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
The only difference is that it's still, they're all Americans, I guess. It's like, no, it's one state from another state. And then, the home state's like, you got to kick back. And he's like, I don't want to kick back. I'm on my own thing. I'm the immigrant here. I'm becoming a Tulsa person.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, interesting dichotomy, interesting aspects going on there, but it's very peculiar type of story of like, yeah, you're rooting for the bad guy, and the way it works is that we're going to establish the people that he's treading on are worse than him, but they're also not as competent as him, so we know he's always going to win. And now I feel like I'm just watching a show that's going through the motions as opposed to one that's got a twist and a turn to it.
That's another one I have not watched through yet either. So, but
that's quite. I mean, listen, there's some interesting content out there.
Yeah,
and I call it content because it doesn't have the nourishing aspects that you'd really want it to.
Yeah,
and that comes down to deadlines and oversaturation and a big change in how we make things today. So, like Disney right now has become a studio that starts making a movie before they have a script complete. You also have directors being taught to direct for television and bring those styles over to theater.
Yeah.
And if you haven't noticed, especially with your action flicks, you don't really get a nice wide shot of some amazing stunt choreography that's uninterrupted with a cut these days.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of quick cuts, a lot of close-ups, a lot of changes of a cut during an impact to make it hit harder. But you go look at, say, Jackie Chan's Rumble in the Bronx, and you've got a one take between Jackie Chan and 6 stunt guys that blows that thing you just saw from the Russo brothers away.
Yeah.
That was made this year, and Rumble in Bronx was made like late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, it was crazy the stuff he was doing too. But
but it was also kind of par for the course, because even if you took another action film that didn't have Jackie Chan in it, or any other Asian star, but it was just a fight scene in general, you'd at least get something going on in there for more than 3 seconds. Actually, for more than half a second, to be fair.
Yeah.
On it, like it's just nuts.
Not shaky cam and cutting away all the time, like you said, or something like that. But
pretty much, because that's usually how it's done on television, and the reason it's done on television is they want to make their day.
Yeah.
So in television, your stunt choreographers, when they're on a show, especially for one that has action, they will come up with about 3 dozen combinations of moves that they will have all their stunt teams memorize.
Yeah.
And then eventually some of the actors will memorize them as well, so that they can do some shots where they're in camera and they're not by a stunt guy. And if you watch enough of the episodes, you will start seeing the pattern.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're pulled out of the immersion and you're like, oh, that's what it is. It's now a dance as opposed to a fight.
Right. And
it just doesn't feel as fun anymore.
No, that's interesting. Like leaning on that, I know, like I said, I go off on tangents here, but
Go
lean
for it.
into
I go
that a
on
little
tangents all
bit.
the time.
Okay. So Rumble in the Bronx, like you said, I enjoyed that one very much too. And like you said, everything, I agree with everything you said with Jackie Chan and like those having one cut and like they're going through the whole thing. But so do you find yourself tending to want to revisit older films more than, or do you still enjoy new things that are rolling out? Right? I know you're working on things, but do you, as just a fan, a general fan, what do you see yourself leaning towards more? Like, and I know I kind of asked this earlier too, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but like, do you find yourself going back for a good rewatch of something you love, or are you always trying to go out and watch what's the new thing out there, what's going on, what's happening, good or bad?
Um, it's tricky to see what the new stuff is out there because there's so much of it.
Yeah.
Um, the other part too is that I try to look back at some of the classics because that is what built the industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the stuff that's coming out right now is aping what has already come out within the last 5 years or so, and with rare exceptions of like IP
Yeah.
and remakes. And the thing is, it's very diluted storytelling. So I tend to go back into stuff that I like to work on this model, which is assume you don't have money for special effects. So make the characters as fun and interesting as possible so that when you get to that special effect moment, it has something of meaning and value to it. Whereas you don't really have that in today. So, for instance, I recently watched, and I didn't finish it, but I recently watched the remake of The Running Man.
Oh yeah.
And I like Edgar Wright. I think he's a great filmmaker.
Yeah.
But my biggest problem with that is like it's a long story because it takes place over the course of a month, and it's a lot of action, and it feels empty because it's so much more action. And even though there's some good character parts, at least in the first half that I saw, it didn't feel as sustainable to me compared to the Schwarzenegger Running Man, which you get a handful of set pieces. You get one big one in the first act when he breaks out of the prison that he's in. And then you get a couple of really small moments where he's meeting the girl and he's navigating out. And he's trying to get to his brother, only for him to be arrested. And then that takes you into the show, which is the bigger set piece. But they stagger them out in such a way where you get each, stalker gets their moment, gets their impact, and then now you're in. Okay, now we're at character. Now we're at development. Now we're at progressing the plot. Now we're moving on to the next part, and we have a breathing time for an action before we get into another action set piece.
Yeah.
But in other parts, you get something that it's designed for a short attention span audience. So it's action, 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 action. And if you could probably try this experiment. You go hang outside of a movie theater, interview people after they came out of seeing an action film and say, what's the main character's name? What do they want? And why do they want it? And if they can answer that question, then you've got an okay movie.
Yeah.
If they can't answer that question, then they were given something that was pretty much just content, just slapped together to occupy them for 2 hours.
I kind of want to do that now. I think that'd be kind of interesting. And I'd almost be curious myself, not knowing what was coming. Like if somebody were to ask me if I walked out of one of those movies too, how much I would be able to answer. Because I agree with you. There's some that it's just like, well, that was chaotic and there were some cool explosions and what was going on in the movie. I'm like, well, how much did you retain from that? Like you said, the story, did you care about the characters? Did you care enough to know what their name was, and why they were doing what they were doing? That's interesting. Yeah. That'd be kind of fun to do. Do you think people would be open to talking to people walking out of a theater? Would you be willing to talk to somebody if you stepped out of a theater and somebody you don't know, like myself, is standing there and be like, hey, do you mind if I have a couple, I do a YouTube channel, like to talk about movies. Would you mind asking you a couple questions about the movie just to see what you retained and what you liked or didn't like from it? And how open would you be to answering those?
Usually pretty open for that type of stuff. Yeah. Because that's one of the fun parts of shared story experiences is being able to discuss it with people.
Yeah.
As long as you introduce yourself properly, it's like, hey, I'm Corey, got a YouTube channel, like to get your impressions of the movie. What did you just watch? And I got 3 questions for you.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. I'd be kind of curious. And then some of the curiosity would be how many people would want to talk to you, and how many would not want to. But
There's
yeah,
usually always more would not want to.
yeah, they just want to get on with their evening. And I can understand that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, very good. I won't. I know we're been running for a little while. I hope you're still doing okay. I
Yeah, I'm
won't.
good.
I won't keep you like a ton longer. I could love to talk to you about a bunch of other things too. So maybe, if things work out well, we can hang out again sometime and dig into some more things. But one of the questions I did have written down, I was kind of like trying to think of some things to hit on here. But with what you were saying too with the script doctor thing, if you're looking at a script, something, a writing, and you're the one kind of going in there to see what we can tweak or what we're going to do. Is there anything that's harder for you to quote unquote fix? Whether it's flaws or weak character, or just the story is shaky in general, or something I wouldn't even think of. But is there something that you find a little more difficult to work or to try to fix, quote unquote?
If I get sent a horror script, the hardest thing for me to do is to fix a situation where one of the characters that's probably going to die does something deliberately stupid that they would not reasonably do in any other circumstance in order to facilitate their death.
Yeah.
Those things are really hard
Yeah.
because I mean it works for horror because people just want to see people get slaughtered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Understand that to a degree. But it stretches the imagination because I'm all about like trying to sell the stuff that's going inside the story as it's being told.
Right.
And in many cases, I will read a script that I'm told, hey, you got to fix this scene here. It's on this page.
Yeah.
And I'll read all the way up to that point, and it's like, oh, I understand why they have to fix it because the character has already established that they'd never be here in this situation, never do this thing or anything. And your goal is you have to find a way to make them in that situation to do that thing and whatnot. And
Right.
sometimes you can do that with a simple one scene rewrite. Others, you have to completely change the character. And there's been a couple instances where it's a really great character that I was like, man, the fact that we're making this a worse character just so to facilitate this outcome is horrible.
It's like, why'd you do this?
The writer came up with a great character, and they did, which is the right thing you want to do, but they put themselves into a conflict because they clearly had this set piece of how this character is going to die planned before they wrote the character. And now they've done the one thing you don't want to do, which is showing the writer's hand. You've manipulated the person deliberately to be in the situation instead of essentially tricking the audience that the character would do this on their own, regardless if this was being written or not.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really tough. And I've I've found out, when I've been working on a script like that, I'll reach out to the writer because they always know that I'm rewriting their stuff. I'm like, hey man, you got this really great character, and
can we talk about
made
this?
them way too smart or way too competent to be in this situation. Can you tell me something more about this character and that help me solve it? And sometimes they'll tell me, and other times you'd be like, listen, man, I could tell you everything about that character, but you're just gonna wind up in the same situation I am, where like I can't figure out how to make this work because I know so much about the character.
Yeah.
So,
but it just needs to happen.
It just needs to happen. So you're more than welcome to like gut the character and do whatever. I'll figure something out. It's like, okay. So
Interesting. I could definitely see where that would be a tough one because I remember. I mean, there's a lot of times we'll watch horror movies and you're like, why would they? Nobody would ever do that. You get those moments that you do that. But do you? And I promise I'll start wrapping it up here. But do you find any genres of movie so that would be a particularly tough one for you? But do you have any that you kind of ease into a little bit more? That gold. I don't know. Do you have a genre that you kind of lean into more, or it comes a little easier to you looking through some of those scripts? Or
nothing ever comes easy for me.
Okay. No, yeah, that's fine.
I'm too good to have anything come easy for me.
Got to make it difficult.
But I mean, I like mysteries. I like adventure stories, like swashbuckling things, or maybe sci fantasy or science fiction.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at comedy, even though I don't come up with a lot of jokes on the fly. I do know how to come up with really funny situations.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a scene recently, oddly enough, making fun of Landman,
Okay.
where this guy who owns his company
Yep.
gets a phone call from his private jet, and his wife's there trying to take the jet. And he's like, you can't take the jet. She's like, I'm your wife. I should have all the assets that you have. She's like, that's the company jet. You don't work for the company. You don't have any ownership in the company.
Yep. Yep.
Why are you even on that property?
Yep.
Like, because I'm your wife. It's like, yeah, I work for the company and I may own the company, but the company has its assets that I am allowed to use. You are not me. Go get your own jet.
Yeah, exactly. Go buy a plane ticket.
And I wrote that thing not just to comment on Landman, but I've met some people who, both men and women, their spouses assume that because their spouse owns a company, they have full access to that company's resources.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
And it's like, no, you don't. I mean, unless it's written in that marriage agreement.
Right.
I mean, I know in regards to a lot of states and a lot of provinces, like when you're married to someone, you share with the assets. But a lot of people that own their own businesses are smart enough to say, like, no, this business is an independent entity that I own outside of my relationships. That's for the security of the entity itself.
Right.
And no, I'm not letting my spouse or my kids take company property to use for personal gains, because number one, that impedes the business, because what if you need that property to solve a problem at that moment?
Yeah. And lose out on business. And
it can compromise the business, and it's self-serving. And yet I meet people that they're just like, I just let them do it. And it's like, but do you ever have a situation where like they're in the middle of a flight and you need that jet for an emergency and you can't do anything? It's like, yep.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Well, I bought a second jet.
Wow.
Like, you've got to be able to disassociate that type of stuff here, because
put a little separation there.
One of my girlfriend, she has to deal with one of her clients. His wife takes things from his store all the time.
Oh, geez.
Use for parties or something, then brings them back. And she's trying. And the thing is, these things have to be sold as new and never used, but now they're used. And so in order to stay above board, they have to be declared as used. And then, the husband who owns it gets upset. And then the wife says, well, I didn't really use it. I just put it on display somewhere else. It's like, left the store as counts. And the thing is, this is a very high chic store. Like it does not sell used product. And what's funny is, like, she's looked through all the stuff. She's like, yeah, you're technically speaking, like, unless your spouse is buying something from there, they're technically not allowed to come on the property at all. But it's just funny situations. And that's kind of inspires me for those types of jokes. It's like, I would love to see a show where, a family man is running a business, and then his spouse is trying to use company property for their own entertainment or what have you.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, no. No, like, I don't. It'll cause an argument with my wife or what have you, but no, that is ethically, morally, and fiscally wrong.
Right.
It's not yours to do with.
Right.
And I think it'd be funny to kind of see that dynamic, because it's something I haven't seen on television before.
Yeah.
And it definitely would lead to an interesting drama, because now you have a great scene of a fight where it's like, why wouldn't you let me use the private jet? Company jet.
Yeah.
You own the company.
How
so
dare
you own the jet. No, the company owns the jet. I own the company.
Yeah.
Transit of property. Not how that works.
Yeah.
If the company goes bankrupt, I lose the jet, but I'm okay.
Right. There's a difference, and there's a reason. And there's a reason why they put that separation between something happening on either side of that to protect the other. Right.
Right.
So, but, well, okay. Close it out. I promise. The last question.
Sure.
The last question for tonight.
More, I'm fine.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say, I could definitely see, if we have you on again sometime, I would absolutely love it. But
sure.
Or, even in a panel, like how I met up with you on Box Office Brawlers channel. I always think those are fun too, to get people, and even like getting more specific, talking about like a specific movie or genre or things like that. I think that's always fun. But, with you, everything you're doing, the industry you're in, any movie that makes you want to go back and rewatch it. Do you have a particular trait or character of that movie or genre that makes you want to go back and rewatch that? I know, and if it's too difficult, like because sometimes they're
I
kind of general questions too.
I mean I mean again, like unless I'm like working on a project where I need a particular voice and I want to capture it authentically, I don't
Yeah.
tend to go back to watch movies, although I do have
Okay.
an
Yeah.
alarmingly large physical media and digital media archive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but one movie that I'll watch every once in a while, and mostly usually just to show someone who hasn't seen it before, is Young Frankenstein.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's written by Gene Wilder,
Yeah. Yeah.
starring Gene Wilder, directed by Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks
Yeah.
takes all the credit, but he didn't do much.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But that is it's an example of a direct parody. So a direct
Yeah.
parody is something where you take a story and then you just parody it as it is.
Yeah.
You then have an indirect parody or a genre parody where you take a genre and you just incorporate all the funny aspects of that genre, like
Sure.
horror, sci-fi, fantasy, romance, what have you.
Sure.
But Young Frankenstein is, unofficial sequel, but direct parody of Mary Shelley's modern day Prometheus tale.
Yeah.
And it's brilliantly done. And
Yeah.
it's written by a genius who is trying not to come across as the genius. Like he's self-aware that he's incredibly smart, and he's like, I do not want to make this movie feel like I am talking down to people.
Right.
So I want to have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few scripts because I've seen the movie, but I've also read the script, and it's one of the few scripts I've ever read as a comedy that does make a person, anyone who reads it, laugh out loud.
Okay. Nice. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Peter Boyle
Yep.
trying to speak is great.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great go-to movie, good for Halloween, to throw people off for a scare.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I showed it to my godchildren when they were in their early teenage years, because they're like, oh, we want to watch horror movies for Halloween. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we primed them up with Frankenstein because they like that one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, did you know that they made a follow-up to it? And it's not The Bride of Frankenstein. They heard of that. I'm like, oh, it's Young Frankenstein. It's his grandson. Ooh, okay, put that in. Boom, put it in. And they're just like, wait, what's going on? And
This
then
isn't what we expected.
And then they're just like in tears as the jokes keep coming by.
Oh no, that's I haven't seen it in a long time, but yeah, I need to go back and watch that one. But I always remember having a lot of fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a good one. I was gonna say hi really quickly. I see Johnny from What's Johnny Watching coming in here saying what's up, cool kids. Good to see you, man. We had Van Gool coming in here saying what's up. But with that being said, I know to kind of wrap up for tonight, man, there's so many other things I would love to talk to you about. And like I said, maybe if everything lines up again, love to have you on again and hang out and chat.
I'd love to be back on. Yeah.
I appreciate it so much. But I was going to say again, anybody watching, in the description of the YouTube channel, at the very least, and I'll find out if there's anything else I can put out there for you, but I have your X link out there and your Patreon link out there. And I think a lot of those were directing to a lot of things that you have going on. People can kind of start digging in, being able to follow you. So I would encourage people. I always say, I know I'm like a broken record saying this, but like sometimes it's just hard to get out in front of other people, and it doesn't cost you anything to go check somebody out, follow them, on any of the platforms they're on. And you might find the next, your next favorite channel or podcast or blogger or whatever.
I mean, I'll say this to anyone out there listening that's maybe interested in that Madden movie with Nicolas Cage that's coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
So on my show, Scripts on Saturdays, the very first show we did about 2 years ago was the screenplay to Madden.
Oh,
so
yeah.
If you want to get a little inside information of what it is, because it's going to be, I would say, significantly different than the final thing, because Peter O. Russell rewrote it. I think he was the director, maybe whoever it was. The director that signed on did do a rewrite of the script. So it's going to be a little bit different, but I mean, it's a great way to understand how something starts at the beginning to how it changes in the final rendition. Go check out that episode. And what's funny is that we have 101 episodes out there. I think 20 of the scripts we reviewed across that have been put into production, so they're going to be released. So you're going to know about these films before all your friends and family know about them. You're going to look like you're really informed.
there you go. And get entertained as well. But so with the podcast, and you said when you put them out there, where's the best way for people to check those out?
You can check them out on my YouTube channel, and then I got them also archived on my Patreon. Um, the first 100 episodes are going to be freely available up until Thanksgiving of 2026, and then they're going to go on to I'm going to start up a very cheap membership thing. It's going to be the lowest rate that YouTube will allow me to do so, but yeah, I'm just going to archive those on the membership stuff there for everyone.
Okay. I
And
definitely have the Patreon out there, but I don't think I have your YouTube link on there, so I will make sure to
it's very
correct that.
easy. It's just at the Script Doctor. So
Okay, there you go. There you go. But I'll after we're all done and stuff, I will get that link added out to it. So anybody, if you want to go back and check for it or are watching this later, please check it out. It's always fun to hear new voices and, check out new channels and see what's all going on. And like you were saying, you might get the heads up on some things rolling out and get, like you said, have some interesting talking points for with your friends.
when Madden does come out on Thanksgiving of next year,
Yeah.
You'll probably see a lot of your favorite YouTubers, if they do review it, they'll probably share with some insights that they have on that. All of those insights are definitely going to be coming from my episode from 2 years ago.
Nice,
because it's got all the information out there. Know exactly what's going on. It's going to be great. You guys, I mean, I hope it's going to be a great movie. But yeah, it's a fun show because one of the things it does point out is that despite the oversaturation and how a lot of stuff is pretty terrible, there are still writers out there trying to tell great stories as best they possibly can, and we're finding them, and I'm showing you that they do exist, and it's not a homogenized industry as some people like to look at, because, well, when you see a lot of stuff that's always kind of hitting the same points, you kind of realize maybe it is all the same. Maybe there is no diversity of idea or thoughts, but there really is. It's just trying to get those voices out there, as you just said, is a little bit tricky to do because there's just so much readily available to distract.
Absolutely. I'm gonna have to dig back and find that episode. You got me interested. All right. I'll go to the beginning of the list then. So I'll definitely check that one out for sure, and other ones. But that sounds interesting because I was very curious when I heard some of the names that were going to be involved acting in that one. I was kind of curious how that was all going to play out. So yeah. An interesting story too. Just knowing things in real life
of the video game of Madden.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I hope it still is that. I don't know how much it would have changed.
Oh, well, I always remember when that came out too. That was a big deal. I played a lot of Madden video game when I was younger too. So, definitely I'll love checking that. And I saw a little teaser and they showed a little, image of the game, and I kind of wondered how much they were going to go into it with the whole story in the movie. But I know that's a big deal. His whole marketing behind him. So yeah, I'll definitely be pulling that one up and listening through it. So, and I will get your YouTube channel put in the description. But well, I just always love to do that because, like I said, it's you were kind enough to spend some of your valuable time with me and hang out, and we were talking in the chat and stuff. And the least I can do, I love putting links out there. And so even if it's, I mean, it's like me too. It's like, I don't care if it's one more person, if somebody else finds you and hangs out and gets to join in with what you're doing and comment and start interacting with you, it's it's worthwhile. So
yeah.
Sure.
I like chatting with new people. I had a blast with you on Brawler stream talking about
absolutely
Living Dead. So, happy to be here. Honored to be here. Always like shooting the breeze about film, the industry, and kind of giving different perspectives on things just to really enrich everyone out there listening.
I know, and I love it.
I hope that's that.
No, absolutely you did. That was so fun. That's what's fun about these too. Like sometimes you kind of have an idea some things you're going to talk about, and then it can kind of have a life of its own and kind of, go here and there, but it's all great. I love doing that. And now, like I said, if it works out, have another hangout. And I always love streams like too when you get a whole panel like you said on Brawlers. It's always fun, even when you're just like looking at one movie and dissecting that. It's fun to talk to different people, especially in different age groups like that too, and different times of your life when you've seen it, and just get opinions and feedback from different people.
It's quite a good revelation because when we were children and we would see like an older movie, we'd probably have like a little bit of a negative stigma to it.
Yeah.
Because there's something like antiquated about it.
Yep.
But what I've noticed with like Brawler's generation and the ones younger, they're actually quite impressed how well the movie was made when we were growing up in our generation. Um, Even though I mean, by today's standards, to a degree, excluding some practical effects, they don't look that great, but they're far more enamored with it. And I think that's to do with the fact that, when you can't afford a great big set piece, you got to make everything else better.
Yeah. And it's interesting to how creative they get with some of that. And sometimes like where you come in, the script, the writing, the dialogue, like some of that can carry it way past whatever special effect they were able to afford at that time too. And
Exactly. Like, again, movies when we were kids, you had 12 effect shots at the most, maybe.
yeah, yeah,
And now every scene is an effect shot.
yeah,
And what it's created is an inverse where you don't actually get the character development anymore. It's just set up to the next fun action set piece, kind
right.
of like current day video games, which they're just more fun when you're playing them because you have control over how it's going. But when you're
Yeah,
sitting in the theater or watching it on home, it's like,
yeah,
it's not doing what it should be.
right. No, I can completely see that for sure. But yeah, so that being said, thank you so much again for hanging out tonight.
With
Everybody in the
pleasure.
thank you again. Yeah, and everybody in the chat. Thanks to everybody that's been hanging out, listening along, whether you're chiming in the chat or just hanging out and listen to us, or anybody that's coming in later to listen to this. Thank you very much. It's always appreciated. And like I said, don't have to twist my arm too hard to talk about a movie or geek out on some of this stuff. I always have a fun time talking about it, but yeah, if you don't, Script Doctor, if you don't mind hanging on for just a second after we go
Absolutely.
off of live. But everybody else, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And like I said, love y'all. This is why it's so much fun to do these live streams when you're jumping in here and joining in the chat. And I know I can't get to everything, but hey, we try to do what we do. So we will all be hanging out real soon. So thanks again for hanging out with us tonight. So we'll
Thank
see you
you.
later.